I've just seen.
Sorry, my friend. I was
Which is fine.
bonding with my child.
I understand that. Bonding with your offspring is a very important thing. Well,
Gentlemen, we are officially live. We are live streaming.
Live.
For the
Where are
people.
we live? Is anybody watching us live? Where are we?
I was
Where
going to
are
say,
we
who
live
knows to watch us live?
YouTube, our YouTube channel.
YouTube, the tube
I'll
of the
send out a
U.
tweet.
That's
And if you're
awesome.
a subscriber,
Maybe I'll
you'll
send a
actually get
tweet.
this. It says we're live. Yeah, send a tweet.
Oh,
There's 4 people watching. Hello, 4 people watching.
subscriber.
Hey, everybody,
We're just
check
setting
us
it up
out
so
on the
it's gonna
Talking
be
Tesla YouTube channel,
useless banter
we're
for a moment.
live talking to you about the Model S Plaid event, exclamation point.
And that is Robert, for whatever reason, live recording him doing a tweet. That was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks,
That's how
Robert.
it's done. That's how it's done.
Is that how
I
it's
could have
done?
muted my microphone, but I'm still trying to get the system, the GarageBand, to recognize my microphone.
So should we hit record on our individuals there, Mr.
Do that.
Mr. Dr.
that.
Herbert, even though
Yes.
Robert still can't, I don't think. He has a
Doesn't
look
matter.
on his face of
It
somebody who's
doesn't
non-compliant, as it were.
It says it's not available.
Compliant. You're not available.
Hey, Kelly A. We're just getting set up here, as you can tell, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we don't usually show people the sausage being. Oh wait, no, we actually do.
That's the whole show, in fact.
It's kind of our brand. So what I was telling the gentleman before we went live was I went to the Tesla store in Santa Monica, and I hadn't been in a newer Model 3. I don't even know when, maybe ever since I purchased mine. I haven't had any real reason to get into a Model 3. And I know that is kind of weird considering the name of the show, and as it were, but an opportunity never arose. So a couple of things: the center console, completely different than the center console on my Model 3. And then inside the hood, or the frunk, as it were, there are these right up, where the windshield wipers are. There's these two rubber grommet, they're like rubber. I don't know what you'd call them. They're just rubber plates that are attached to the hood. And when they're down, apparently they keep water from getting into the frunk area, which thankfully I've never had a problem with. But my car doesn't have them. However, what I did notice is my car has the holes that they would mount into that are filled with rubber grommets that keep it from being. So this is a part I'm assuming I could get if I wanted or needed, but I had no idea. So I wonder if you guys have heard in the past, were they having water leakage issues with the Model 3 in the frontal area?
Frontal area? I'd not heard that. I wish that they would have a drain like the Ford F-150 is going to have in their frunk. I wish Tesla would do that. I feel like actually just taking a drill and popping a few holes in there. What could go wrong?
Try it out. Tell us how it goes.
Yeah.
Video
I mean,
game.
I can think of 1,000 things that could possibly go wrong in that scenario, but you know all of those things. So I know that was what you refer to in the business as a rhetorical type of a question.
The battery pack probably goes all the way up there, so it's probably a bad idea.
But the other thing that I thought was interesting is the where the phone goes in the new Model 3, or at least the newish Model 3. There is it didn't look like it went up and down. It had like a fixed kind of a tray, and
it's
then
inductive charging, right?
the piece right in front of that is like the original Model S's. Like it has like a pneumatic door kind of a thing that covers the thing instead of the thing that flips up, which is what my Model 3 has. It has like a door that flips up. This one has a slidey thing. And I thought those were both pretty cool features. So are
you doing a segue? Because that's also part of the new Model S that they're going to show us tonight. The refreshed interior also has the same 2-bed phone charging
here, right below the notes.
holders. What was that?
Just background noise. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Robert, just take your camera and turn it down a little bit so we can see more of your beautiful face.
You'd rather see the top of my head, my new microphone. I'm even wearing this.
Yeah, I couldn't find mine, so I've just got a stinky polyester generic shirt on.
Is that the one you golfed in this morning?
No, I didn't. I'm golfing tomorrow extraordinarily early, so I might hand over the hosting when I get too tired to continue on, because I am an elderly man. So can we go around and start talking what we expect to see tonight? Is somebody ready to give us their predictions? I'm very excited about tonight.
I mean, I guess the real question, or a question I have, is are all of the test driving S's going to be yoke steering wheeled? That would be a question I would have for Mark. If so, we got a message right before we went live as well from Robert saying that Mark was up at the Fremont factory and he was at the event. So I'm very curious to see the yoke in the wild, as it were. And I'm curious. So let's go around the room. I'm going to start with Joel. Are the cars going to have the yokes on them?
I'd say all of them are going to have yokes.
Okay, Melvis.
Yeah, I think they'll all have yokes, and then we're going to hear tonight about how that yokey thing is actually going to work like a real steering wheel. There's something about wired driving thing. I don't understand this.
Drive by wire, I think is what you're
drive-by-wire. What
trying to
does that mean?
say.
We're going to hear about the yoke and the drive-by-wire.
And Robert.
Yeah, I think they're going to have the yoke tonight. I think that's what they want a big reaction to. I believe there are going to be refreshed Model Ys that don't have the yoke, but I don't even know how anybody would have ordered those without having to get on the phone and talk directly to Tesla.
Right. So you have to order them with the yoke. So it's no yoke. That's how they're delivering them.
Do we
Please.
know that? Do we
you
know
very
that there is no option for a regular steering wheel? And I'm just checking my audio, by the way, because somebody said I was low, but I've got it cranked as high as I
Yes.
can, so I'm going to yell into it.
You sound better to me, but you're pretty good. But we could.
Just got to be close to that microphone.
So a non-yoke option, is that going to happen?
I don't think so.
We've seen we've heard from folks that said that after when delivery time comes, they'll have the option to switch. But I still think things are a little up in the air on that. But we've seen both yoke and non-yoke versions. So
Well, in the chat room right now, Hell Anthropy said that there's a bunch of video already from the delivery day thing that's going on right now. And most of them had yoke steering wheels, but there was at least one square wheel. Square? I hope he
Square
means-
is that's
or
the
she
yoke.
rounds.
Yeah, square is the yoke. On the website, if you
Oh,
click
no,
on,
it says it only saw the square yoke wheel. Okay, so I
Okay.
misinterpreted.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
I
only
think
one
there's
that's
an
saying.
issue with that because the control, so they took the stalks, the stems off of the steering column. So there isn't any. There's no left turn. There's no button to put yourself into park or switch yourself into drive or autopilot. It's all buttons on the yoke. And unless they have a steering wheel, which I haven't seen, a round steering wheel that has those buttons integrated, I think, I don't know, would they sell this new refreshed car with the old steering wheel and the old steering column? Or is the dedication to the yoke 100%?
I guess the question is what other buttons? Because I'm looking on the website at the Model S. I clicked on Plaid, and we'll talk about some of the things that are involved there. Big old horizontal screen in there. It looks lovely and wonderful.
17 inches.
But it only has 2 buttons that I see visible on the steering wheel. So are they just going to be multi-use buttons? I don't really.
No, there's a lot of buttons there.
Yeah, there's a
Not
lot.
on-
You just
not on
can't
this
see them.
photo. Okay,
You-
where are they?
They're like they're capacitive. Well, what people think are capacitive touch buttons that are lit from behind. So there's other screenshots of the steering wheel that have that, and I think unless
You
I'm
can see it in
misreading
this
too.
picture that you just scrolled by.
Who's that, Mel?
I think so, because it's going really erratically.
Mhm.
See, now that
There you
picture
go.
right there, it looks completely different than the one I'm looking at on the Tesla website, Model S design overview. So interesting.
So folks, when they saw the round steering wheel too, they saw some of the items that you can see here in this picture.
Okay.
So it looks like, you get the rotaries, and those are multi-use, and then there's additional items around there. So Mel, you asked a question that nobody answered really yet, is sort of predictions. I think there's definitely going to be one more thing. I don't know what that one more thing is going to be. If I were to guess, actually, I don't even know if I have a
got it.
guess on
I
the
got
one
the
more
one
thing.
more thing. I just-
Cybertruck delivered.
500-mile range plaid version. 500-mile range plaid version. Please make it happen. That's the one more thing.
I
So
like it.
earlier
like that.
today, Tesla did announce a price increase on the standard
Oh,
plaid.
Mhm.
So $10,000 increase. So what do you think you get for that $10,000 Mel?
100 extra miles range, Joel.
Hmm.
100 extra miles.
The ability to spend $10,000 on full self-driving on top of it. Although also what
I
we're
thought
seeing,
it was just an increase in the price of the car they're delivering now to people that they have already. In other words, if you want to order the car now, it's going to cost you an extra 10 grand over what the people who already ordered it and are receiving it tonight.
My guess is they're going to keep the promise essentially with that reservation piece. But it's more about, it says a little bit more about what could else be in there potentially. I wouldn't necessarily say additional 500, but I'd say it would be, somewhere around 50 to 60 maybe, but we'll see what happens.
I like the rear gaming screen they put on the back of the center console.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool. Is that standard? Is that going to be standard
Yes.
in all of them?
I put together all of the document on our document,
Semi.
all of the standard things that I pulled from multiple sources. So the all new interior includes that yoke steering wheel with the added controls without any steering wheel stalks. We got the 17-inch horizontal screen, which has got pretty sick resolution, 2200 by 1300, which I think would blow away all the other Teslas, including my relatively new Model 3. They say it's an ultra bright display. They've got the new binnacle display, which doesn't have the big bezel around it. So I'm not sure how that's going to work in sunlight and all. The ventless HVAC system, which is like on the Model 3 and the Model Y.
I'm scared of that one because my Model 3 started stinking again, and as it started to heat up.
Have you had the filter replaced?
I have had the filter replaced. It only cost me $300. Thank you, Tesla.
Yeah, well, evidently, I know this is something that Mark does, is he'll replace the filter with a HEPA filter, even though it's not technically a HEPA system, and spray it when they first take the filters out, spray the system to get rid of the fungus that can grow in the AC unit. He says that every year that needs to be done, which might be part of the annual service that Tesla does that nobody bothers to get.
Maybe.
So then there's
maybe.
Yeah, there's a new tri-zone temperature control system. So the driver, the passenger, and the back seat can have different temperature air coming out of the vents, which I think is pretty sweet. HEPA filter is standard. There's a 22 speaker, 960 watt audio system, which
Wow.
I know my son would really love. And it's got noise canceling built into it. Like, wow.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Imagine that. Yeah.
You mean
Or you
noise
could spend-
cancelling for the outside world? So trucks and stuff going by, ambulances that you can't hear. This seems very dangerous.
Well, I mean, I think
they'll
that's good because
selectively
there
like
are times when like there's a little more noise than you would want coming from outside. And so I think that's kind of cool. Although there are some aftermarket accessories you can buy to quiet your 3s and Ys, like wheel well dampeners and hood dampeners and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, rubber that goes around and seals the door jams. And yeah, I haven't tried that stuff. Have you, Tom?
So almost as many watts as horsepower.
That's true. 960.
Almost. They should have
Almost.
like matched those two things because 1,020 horsepower is ridiculous.
In the
It is,
chat room,
although
some
that
people
might
are being
be-
funny. They're asking if they leave a 5-star review in the chat, will I read it? And we've also got
You
someone
will.
saying, "I'll gamble today will be the first public released Tesla Semi." Ooh, as your one. What's the next?
That
thing?
one more thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it can't really compete with the the 3 and the Y. So they're not going to do anything like show what people call the Model 2. I think they've already sort of pushed all the buttons with Cybertruck. So I don't think they're going to do anything with that. Semi would be exciting, right?
How about the Tesla compact vehicle that everybody's been talking about that could come from China?
I don't think
know,
they're going
man.
to do that yet.
I think it needs its
we'll
own.
see.
I mean, this would be a good platform for it because it is, a high end, but it is a high end Plaid event. I do like the idea of them delivering the first semi, although I'm skeptical about that. Maybe it will be. Do we know whether or not this vehicle is going to have the new battery in it?
It's not. I don't think so.
Could it be that?
Because they said the Plaid Plus would have the new 4680 cells.
Right, but
and I
they
don't think this
canceled
one has
that, right? So they canceled that. So they could possibly just say this will have this could be the first cell. That'd be an interesting one more thing, right? To first delivered cars with the 4680s.
Right.
it. Yeah. So I was going down. Go ahead.
So here's maybe again, they're not going to call it Plaid Plus, but the long range version of the Plaid, which you'll pay an extra 10,000 for, will have the bigger cell and 500 miles range. Please, I'm praying here.
Okay, so so you've said that twice now. You're the only one of us in the room who would likely purchase this vehicle. What would it take to get you in a Model S today?
What's it going to take to get you on a Model 3 today?
Yes, that's why I
take,
said
man?
it like that, my friend. You picked right up on that.
I would seriously consider my next car as the refreshed Plaid S if it had over 500 miles range.
So if this S has 500 miles and it was 100, let's say it's 129.99 or 132, right? Because that's what we're talking right now. This car is 122 with how many miles of range on the website right now? 122.9.
I thought it was
390
with 390 miles of range.
Yeah. Does it say over 390?
It says 390 estimated when you click on Plaid. If you hit long range, it goes to 412. So if you go no Plaid, you can actually go down.
You can buy that today.
you can go down to $72,000. Now you're only at 72,000, and it's 412 miles of range, but it only does a piddly 155 miles an hour versus going to 122,390 miles of range. But you can do that range at 200 miles an hour.
This is a new thing that they're doing. If you pay them less money, they'll give you more range. So
Yes,
the $50,000 version actually gets 650 miles.
But it only
And
does
its
it at
top
8
speed is
miles an
100.
hour. It's 8 miles an hour. Yeah. So really, seriously, like, would you consider?
I wouldn't buy it because 122 is, to me, it's an outrageous number. But I would consider it. I'll give it a look. I'll think about leasing it because that doesn't seem as outrageous, even though that lease payment would be ridiculous.
It would be quite
500
ridiculous.
plus miles range, I would consider it, and then I would just start praying, please bring me a 400 plus mile range. Why?
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, I thought
But I would
400
consider
was
it.
your magic number.
Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
my
The purchase
magic
price.
number is 500, but
Yeah,
magic ish is
500.
400.
It's gone up.
Yeah, the purchase price is 129.9. I had it clicked on potential savings price. So we're currently at 129,990 for the Plaid Model S. It does have 3 motors though. 3 of them.
Yeah. So that number just 2 days ago, when I put the details in the show notes, was only 19,990. And so I don't know that you're going to get anything more now that they've upped the price. So I guess they wanted to just, with this jazzy introduction, jack up the price. And I don't know what that's going to pay for. Going to pay for something.
I think you're right that we're all thinking they're going to have this something different reveal. They've got to. I think they can't just say we jack the price up 10,000 and you're getting exactly what's been on the website for the last 6 months. Can they? They can't just do that.
They can't.
Well,
Then
they
why would
probably
you even
could.
reveal? Why would you even reveal? They've revealed. It's done.
Well,
Well, they're delivering. Technically, they're delivering. Is what?
Yeah, they're
happened.
delivering. They're gonna give rides on the track, which Mel you could have gone to, but apparently you decided not to.
I wanted to be here with you, Joel, because I love you
Well,
so much.
yes, thank you. I love it. I don't know. We'll see, I guess, but I think they could get away with not doing it. I mean, it would be a little bit of a downer, but can I read a couple of the things that people thought might be
Please.
the one more thing?
Let's do it.
So where did it see? I see the final design of the Cybertruck by Chris Mar Bibe. Bibe? Actually, Mel, you should read this.
Yeah, I should.
Maybe the first public semi released. And then there was also and that who said the first semi? I missed that. Was WC Finvader. And I'm probably not pronouncing that right. And then someone also mentioned that there was news this week of the first mega charger being installed as well. So maybe that's something as well that we
Maybe it'll be a combination of delivering the first, I don't know, 5 Cybertrucks and showing them at the mega charger, which is here. I think.
Actually, that's actually a good sort of non-product product. One more thing, which is so when the Cybertruck was released or was announced, they talked about over over 250 kilowatt charging speed, and so they may introduce that with the Model S, and that might be part of the one more thing about how fast it could be.
V4 supercharging.
Right. Yes. Something faster. We know with some of the new battery cells, and I don't think the new battery cells are in this, but we know that's going to be a little bit faster, or could be a little bit faster as well. So that's one thing. It's a little boring, but it'll be still exciting long term. So
would they need new battery tech or just better cooling to be able to charge faster than 250 right now? Like, do they need the 4680? 4680? Do they need the 4680 to charge faster with better cooling, or can they do it with the 2170 or the 18650? Can they do it without making me explode in my car?
That's a good question. There is a little bit of additional newer cooling technology that they talked about, but I still thought that was in the Plaid Plus. So I think we're gonna have to watch and see.
So do we think there's anything to the Plaid Plus being canceled because the 4680 is not ready for prime time?
No, I think they can't justify making a Plaid Plus, I don't think, because the Plaid, I mean, this is basically what they said. It's fast. They're not going to make it any faster than what it is, other than they said that this 1.99 second 0 to 60 will not be achieved tonight. You'll have to buy special wheels and tires, which I'm thinking this might, I don't know if this would be an extra reveal, is Tesla showing off its new tire. And it's this is the vertical integration where they're going to have their own tire manufacturing spot with new tech tires. And maybe that'll be the one plus. They're going into the tire business.
Yeah. Please make it not that. I don't think we know why Plaid Plus really isn't around. I said that on sort of Elon today. It's not clear. There was no explanation by Elon. It was just like, oh, it's Correct. So good. Plaid is so good. People have been hanging out for that Plaid Plus. People with significant bucks just ready to drop cash. Even if you gave them 0.1 or 0.2 seconds faster acceleration, there are people that would pay 40 grand for that because they've got the money and they just want to be the fastest. So
that's why I asked that question. That's why I asked that question. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a cash cow because it's another bespoke version of the vehicle, right? They would have had to have basically hand built if they're not putting the 4680s in this thing, they would have basically had to hand build the power packs in a lot of ways for that vehicle, for the 200, 300, 400 Model S's they might sell in a quarter or a year or whatever that number is. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm curious about that.
Well, one thing to note is I think, and Robert, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and folks that are on chat too, there's not a lot of difference between what the Plaid Plus was and what the Plaid is. So
Yes.
they were saying 0 to 60, 1.99. And then they said for the Plaid Plus, it was
Less than.
under 1.9. And you start to get to the physics related to the actual tires at that point.
Right.
If you could somehow fit street illegal tires, then I'm sure both of these cars would go much faster. So maybe
Well,
I
I don't
didn't
know
see
if you have to
anything on
say
the quoting.
street-
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not necessarily street illegal. I mean, if you just need a wider tire, and that's why people put flares, like they modify their fenders in the rear to be wider so that they can fit a 12-inch wide tire or a 10-inch wide tire. That's what the Roadster has, and that's what
Mhm.
makes the Roadster so fast. But it does really take a lot. It creates an enormous load on the frame and the systems that support all of it. So there's a point at which the durability of the car or the safety of the car becomes an issue. And my expectation is that that's not as easy as they would like. I thought maybe they were going to consider those cold jet thrusters, which they're
Yeah.
talking about on the Roadster.
Right.
But I mean, this is
That
all
would do
getting
it.
a little bit. This is all getting a little bit crazy, because at what point does
Is it
Elon
just too
and the
fast?
and the Elon and the team start thinking or listening that, hey man, if you start giving bigger guns to people, they're going to make bigger messes, and you give bigger cars that go super fast, you're going to have another Tesla wipes out God knows what, a house
Yeah.
gone. Tesla went
Other
through it
than
at
the
190.
other than the range, though, which I think is a big one, maybe you get a fractional second, on the 0 to 60 time. But again, if we have to see what they offered here, or what they're going to be offering with the Plaid as it is now.
Yeah.
So I'm betting the difference is much closer, maybe except for the range, but it's we'll have to see from there.
I think
somebody
that,
asked in the chat room about sorry to cut you off for a bit, about this tri-motor thing. Will that mean that you can still drive if one of the motors goes out or two of the motors goes out? So we've
Right.
been having a discussion, well, I've been having a discussion about this because, I had my wife's Model X and the front motor went out and we were still able to drive. But people were saying that it's still slave. The rear motor is, I can't remember which way around it is. One of them is slave to the other, so that if you have the back go out, you're done. You can't drive. So will this
Right.
change that? Because that redundancy is really cool. So will we hear anything about the redundancy of, you can drive on just one motor if two of them go out? This
Yeah.
person who said they had one engine go out, one motor go out, and it's slave to the other one, basically is calling Elon a liar constantly, because Elon keeps saying if one motor goes out, you're fine. And he's like, that is not true. It's only under if the front one goes out, or don't quote me on that. So I'll be listening for that as well.
Yeah, I think it's the front single motor is maybe, as you say, the slave to the rear dual motors. But I remember also hearing that the front, like if one of the rear motors went out, you saw the other one, and that they could kind of torque vector with the front. And I mean, I don't know if this is that much of a problem. How many people experience a motor failure?
I don't know.
they've
They
been-
list
Well,
Yes.
they list
Yes,
torque,
Mel did.
they list torque vectoring on the website, so I don't know if that is what they're referring to as it pertains to that. But like, it'd be a weird feature, like if in case one of our motors dies, like
Right.
to put up front. So the full price, if you get the 21-inch wheels and you don't get it in white and you get a white interior, what do you guys have an idea of what that vehicle runs? Because I have that number in front of me.
137.
147,990 when you add
Wow.
color, when you add a color, wheels, and a colored interior, and of course FSD, because I mean, at that point you might as well get FSD. Oh, look at that. Mel's making a red one, throwing some arachnids.
Yeah, but it's
throwing
that
some-
new.
Come on, you
it's
always
that-
want white though.
Get the white interior. Don't get the cream. That's
Oh,
ridiculous.
come on.
People
Come
should see
on.
Robert's white interior. It looks fantastic.
It is
Absolutely
pretty
Yeah,
nice.
that's-
Yeah.
Thanks to Mark's aftermarket dress up. It looks awesome. I agree.
My son, we saw the Model 3 that we saw That's not the Plaid, buddy. You hit the long range.
Oh,
Uh,
dang
So he kind of wants that range right now.
it.
Yeah, he does.
my son, the Model 3 that they had in Santa Monica was all blacked out, like chrome and blacked out.
That's
And
how
my
they're
son
coming
was
now.
like,
All
my
of
son
them.
was like, you should get that. And I was like, well, I could have somebody do that for me potentially. I don't
Tom.
know. Yeah,
Tom, did you drive the Model S that was in there?
I did not. They weren't, I mean, I didn't get a test drive. There was a Y and a 3. I didn't actually see an S. That was it. Oh, the little Power Wheel one? Is that what you're
Yes,
talking about?
yes.
Yeah, I didn't. I can't fit in the Power Wheel, Joel.
But this is the
Well,
fully decked out Plaid at
You've lost a lot of weight.
Oh, look, you managed to get it up to
9,000.
148. That's pretty good.
And the lease on that is $2,000 a month, which is significantly higher than my first mortgage.
Yeah, it's a
wow.
significantly about what I pay for rent. So
You could live in it. I keep telling you, you could
theoretically
live in that
live
car.
Yeah, I'd have to live in it in your driveway. But,
The smell of urine would be quite substantial over time, but you could do that.
yeah, and I'd have to use your kitchen, which I'm sure Mrs. Herbert wouldn't be too fond of at 7 a.m.
That's the first time I've heard a wife call her husband by the last name. I mean, maybe I've missed it.
No, we don't.
But I was
Yeah,
like,
we
wait a
don't.
minute, that's not your first name. She just called you Herbert.
Yeah.
It's
You know
like-
you're in trouble when your wife calls you by your last name. Herbert, get over here.
Herbert,
Yeah. So there's one question by I think it's pronounced Philanthropy. Do we think that the powered spoiler that we saw sort of spy shots of one of the cars that Jay Leno drove? Do we think that powered spoiler will be in the in this Plaid model?
was that part of Plaid Plus?
We
Also,
We
the-
don't. And when you say
We don't
powered,
know.
you don't mean there is power in the spoiler, but the spoiler can be moved with
Yeah.
power.
Yes, yeah, movable.
for some additional drag, as it were, to keep it sticky when it's going 200 miles an hour.
When it's moved from that aerodynamic car that's very fast to now I'd like to be a plane, and if there's one little bump, I would like to take off now, just like they do in Formula One occasionally.
How fast was the first Model S? Remember, like many shows ago, you got a new Model S, and we let Robert drive it, and we were in the car, and he punched it. That
It
thing
was
would
the
probably
Y.
had
Yeah.
a top. No, it wasn't even the Y. It was way before that.
It was the
was-
X,
No,
actually.
that's where
Was it the
Tom said.
X?
It was the X, yeah.
and you just like power floored that thing, and it would probably didn't have a top speed over 130. Can you imagine Robert's right foot in a Model S Plaid?
I mean, if you want to get rid of Robert, if you want to be rid of him, get him the Plaid and fully loaded. It won't take him long before he'll end up through that person's house in a smoky mess.
Philanthropy.
Joel, you still haven't bought a Tesla. Are you going to get a Plaid S?
No, I definitely can't get Plaid S. I can't afford that.
All right.
I'd love it. Well, actually, I think I want an S, but I think we're going to get a Y. So that's where it sits right now.
Why?
Because it's a great car.
So good.
Why?
So good.
We could go
Come on.
on.
Play the
Okay.
game.
Okay, I'll play the game. It's so beautiful in person.
Yeah. It just doesn't ride as nice as the S or the 3. It's just those shocks are just not quite right, and that's why I'm actually thinking about getting aftermarket shocks put on those, because I've been driving the cousin's Model 3 for a while, though not anymore. And I'm like, ooh, this really is a nicer ride than the Y.
I mean, some
Why?
of that's just because it's lower. Some of that I think is because it's just a little lower to the ground. It hugs a little bit more, but yeah, man, like some bitchin' aftermarket air suspension on that Y. Whew, that'd be so sweet.
Yeah,
RPM
there was-
tester, I'm looking at you.
There was some data in logs, I think found probably 9 months ago, talking that pointed to air. It looked like either they were testing it somewhere, but air suspension in the Y.
Right.
But Elon and other people shot it down when
Yeah, and you've got to
asked.
be careful about that. Same with Apple. They're testing stuff all the time,
Right.
and that doesn't mean that it's ever going to come to market. So, you know,
Right.
he was specifically asked, because I would love that. A Model Y with air suspension would be delicious.
let's continue to go down Robert's list. So we stopped at the 22 speaker, 960 watts of audio. And then the next thing on the list is perforated and ventilated seats, which are those back?
That's big. They're back.
Oh, they're back.
Right. They were
That's so
gone
cool.
and now they're back, but they were gone because they had durability issues, correct?
I think that people were complaining, or maybe it turned into too much of what the service center couldn't handle, because it's, they're perforated. So if you spill your Diet Pepsi, Mel, all over it, then you've got an issue. But I heard that they worked well. There was some, I think they probably had to improve the durability of them. But if they're
Okay.
back in a handful of bespoke cars, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then multi-device Bluetooth, which I think is actually quite interesting, which means you could potentially
Yes.
go back and forth between people playing music in the back seat, wireless and USB-C charging for every passenger. So wireless charging for every passenger,
Yes.
or do they say
Yeah.
wireless period and
No, it's wired. Oh, I just copied this right from it.
right? But do you see
There's
like
both
how
plugs.
where would the wireless charger things be on the back for the back seats?
They're in the
Like,
armrest.
oh,
In the fold down
fascinating.
armrest, there's two of those cradles, two little beds for phones, as well as two cup holders.
Very nice.
Can we go back
It
a
is.
second about multi-person Bluetooth? Please explain what that is.
So like if my phone is attached and I'm listening to song A and my daughter's phone is attached and she wants to listen to song B, you don't have to disconnect one and reconnect the other. They can both be connected, and it just gives you there's probably hopefully an easy way to give them priority. So that would be my take on it.
So I'm going on the touch screen. I'm like, I want to listen to ABBA, and that's what gets synced to my Bluetooth. And you want to listen to ELO, and that goes to your Bluetooth. Is that what it means?
That's kind of what it means. No.
no,
It goes to it means that like one phone can play a song and another phone can play a song without having to connect and disconnect. That's all it means. It just means you can kind of go back and forth as opposed to playing two songs at once. It's not like front seat is like a zone and the back seat is a zone.
That'd be interesting though.
It'd be annoying as hell depending on what was playing in the. Imagine like ABBA in front and like Rage Against the Machine in the back seat or something.
Well,
crazy
they could
like
watch
that.
a little movie in the back in the little tiny screen.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be nice if they did like a second zone that you could use like Bluetooth headphones in. That would be awesome, right? It's like a total secondary system. And I'm seeing what you're saying about this rear fold down cup holder, which is nice.
Mhm.
It does. You can see the two little slots for the QI charging or wireless charging, whatever you want to call it. So that's a pretty cool feature. And I'm interested in like, so as you're driving, my guess is you can attach some kind of Bluetooth, or maybe this is the secondary Bluetooth thing, is that you can attach some kind of Bluetooth controller to the vehicle so you can play games in the back seat.
Yes.
So maybe that's what the second Bluetooth will mostly be used for. It's like one can be used for the entertainment music system while your kids are gaming in the back using their Bluetooth.
Or maybe your kids could be watching someone else's cell phone's Netflix while you're driving in the back seat. I don't know. I wonder how.
Yeah, but you wouldn't need
complicated-
Bluetooth for that. You wouldn't need Bluetooth for that because that would just be inside the system itself, right?
No, but that's typically disabled. I don't know. Maybe it's not disabled if you're in the back seat.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That'll get a lot more of those folks doing autopilot from the back seat games, or full self-driving from the back seat. But it's interesting because those, I like that rear compartment. I wonder if there's a little more storage hidden in there.
Do you have a picture of that? I can't.
Yeah,
find
so
it
it's
on
if you go to
website.
the Model S, it's just rotating through a bunch of pictures at the top on the Tesla website. So you can't really freeze on it very well unless you click on it. But if you click on it, you can hold it. So it's like the third or fourth thing. It's a white Model S on Tesla.com/Model S.
I would bet if you could have the noise cancellation technology, potentially you could noise cancel what's being played in the back, in the front, and noise cancel what's being played in the front and the back, so that you get a cleaner, like you get a tighter break between the two. With 22 speakers,
There you
as
go.
Yeah,
as
it's
Wendy
right there,
Halder
Mel.
says, maybe that's one of the uses they could use with that.
One more. Yeah, there it is right there. So you
So
see
in
that center
here is-
console. Those are the
right.
QI chargers right there. And then you see the two colors. It's going to
Get
keep.
Is it
picky.
called QI or is it called Qi?
I don't, I've always called it QI charging. And I don't even know if that's what they call, I mean, they just call it wireless charging. QI might be trademarked like, Lightning or whatever it is, but
It's more of an open standard now, but I thought it was Qi, but
that's fine. Yeah. I'll,
Um,
you know what, man, I'll go with it. I'm not going to call it that, but it's cool
Okay.
if that's what it's called.
So Mel, can you show like a clean shot of the steering wheel?
You
as
can't really
well?
freeze.
Yeah.
I
Can't
think
make
you
a
can freeze on
pause.
it if you go up to the top. I don't think you can pause on it, but if you go
There
up to
on
the very,
that last
if you go
one.
up to, if you go to the very top, Mel, the top shot above that, you can see you can scroll. Yeah,
This
there you
one
go,
here.
right there. There you can see
So
the wheel. If you
In that view, doesn't it
see the
look like
buttons.
doesn't it look like the steering wheel could retract in and fit into that space there?
Yeah.
I don't think it could retract and go flush, but it could definitely
No.
go much
Like-
farther down. I mean, it'll go. It's
I mean-
not going to fit like the column will fit in that gap, but not the whole steering wheel.
You don't think so?
Not all the way in, but it could. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I like the
It probably-
possibility here.
my guess is easy enough to just take the yoke off, push the column all the way back in, and put a little cover over the top of that. If that
You need an
time
airbag.
comes.
No, more like a situation to really distinguish when you're in level 3+ where the
Mhm.
car's saying, okay, I'm in control,
Yeah.
and then it pulls back out when it needs you to take over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something
I mean,
This-
that's
interesting.
cool. Yeah. Go, man.
The if you imagine the human is up here, the bag of meat,
Uh-huh.
looks like a lot of visibility. When you get rid of this thing, you can see the binnacle display, whether you put this up high or low. Just
Right.
the ability to see it there. So if they can solve for, I'm really worried about spinning this wheel around and around. If they solve for that, then this could be great, even though I still like to hang my hands off the top. I'll learn to hang them somewhere else because I do like the idea that I've got a lot of glass I'm looking at here. A lot of glass.
Mhm.
I mean, it is safer to not be able to put your hands on the top of the wheel. So
I also like it just because the steering wheel doesn't block the binnacle.
Yeah.
There's
that's what I mean,
always
the-
that thing where, like, especially if you're in rental cars where you're trying different cars, where you have to be a certain distance away from the car, and then the steering wheel has to be up a certain way so that you can see everything. And
Mhm.
it's nice and clean. And in that respect, I mean, it's probably going to be interesting it'll probably take a while to get used to not having that top, like Mel says, but after you get used to it, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I like to see a view of the interface without the entertainment up on it. I want to know if they've made any changes to that. Is there
got
there
a-
another shot in there, Mel?
I got a basic question before we leave this one. Is
Sure.
this bigger than the 17-inch? It looks bigger.
That
Is
is
this
the
a
17
19-inch?
No, that's
It's just a 17-inch flipped over.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd
It's a
wait to meet-
17-inch
Yeah.
horizontal, yes.
There's some
Okay.
pictures, some YouTubers that have a Model 3, and I don't know if it's like the distortion of the camera lens, depending on the lens they have, but some of the Model 3 ones look huge, depending on how they take the shot. So I think that's what
Like a
might be
parallax
happening
error
there a
kind of
little
thing.
bit.
So we were talking about all the things on the list, and one thing that didn't make it on my list is the badging on the Plaid Model S. Mel, take a look at the message I just sent you over iMessage. There's a photograph that a guy took just now. It's on Twitter. I'll give his name in a second when I find it again. And you see the badging for the Plaid Model S. This is from the Kilowatts.
Where is that badge?
It's pretty
though?
sick.
But where
It's
is
on the
that
right
badge?
rear of the car.
Oh,
It's
wow.
where it typically would say whatever 70 or
Pull it up here on the
90D.
screen.
Oh, I see. It's not. For whatever reason, I thought it was on glass, but it's not. It's on black.
Yeah.
Uh,
there it is.
Correct. It's on a
There it
black
is.
car that he's trying to
See
take
that?
a photo of.
that's a detailer's nightmare. I'll tell you that right now. You can
Wow.
even see from that picture, just trying to clean in between it is like ridiculous.
That looks good.
Get
Yeah.
your Q-tips out.
It's
Ooh.
very cool. Yeah. It looks a lot like the shirt I'm wearing at the moment.
Yeah, and evidently Franz is there with the shirt, and the shirt is big.
So this is on the
I'm gonna-
plaid. This is the badging on the back
Yeah,
of the car.
here comes another picture I'm going to send you.
Yeah. So if you have if you buy a plaid for 149 grand, you can have that badging.
You
Well,
betcha.
that's totally
Seems
worth
worth
it.
Seems totally worth
Here
it.
comes another one, another photo.
Okay, here we go. Let me. I gotta airdrop this over to the Mac, and then I'm gonna. Yeah, it's a whole thing going on here.
It's cool.
We
I like
are-
it to be bigger. It almost looks like from the far away, it almost looks like a broken piece of glass. But it's still very, very
Oh,
cool. I
yeah.
can't wait.
How many-
I
There
can't.
it is.
But
Look
it's
at
just
that.
it's kind of subtle too. So if you
Yeah.
don't know what you're looking for, I kind of
Yeah.
like that.
It looks like a
It-
QR code, so I can order it now. Oh, I
it's-
want that.
it's-
car.
It's the
That
kind
would
of
be
subtle.
great.
It's the kind of subtle that guys who spend 150 on a car want on the backs of their car for sure. It's
Well,
like
when-
it's like the little R that you see on the side of like Volvos and stuff like that, right? They're R tuned or whatever.
Right. When you pay twice as much for a car that looks nearly identical
Mhm.
to the one
Uh-huh.
that's half the price.
Yeah.
You want a little badging or something.
Yeah. No, I was
Just-
being serious. Like I think
okay.
it's exactly that level of like
Yeah.
obvious but not ostentatious, I guess
Right.
is how I would frame that. But
Wendy Helder. Wendy Helder asked, Mel, do you honestly spin your wheel around and round? I think I do sometimes when I'm turning around. I'm doing a U-turn. Don't you spin the wheel a couple of times? Isn't that a thing, or am I?
Not a
fooling
couple
myself, I
times.
just do it
That's a
once.
lot.
no, definitely not a couple of times. Not in those. I mean, a U-turn, you're gonna go all the way and over. But yeah, it's hard. It's just because you're so used to like spinning the wheel and loosening your grip and kind of letting it spin back through your hands. Like that's
Right.
the kind of thing that you're not going to be able to do anymore because
Right.
you'll be letting go of the wheel at that point. So you
Yeah.
can't necessarily do that. But I think it's like anything. When we first started talking about, oh my God, there's no binnacle display. How long did it take you to like, who cares about that? Like it's gone. Like no one
Mhm.
cares. It's a non-issue basically in the Model 3 and the Model Y now. And the same thing will happen with the yoke. And Elon knows that. It just takes time to get used to it. I mean, I don't know that you want to force people into a thing, but like that's what he wants to do. I mean,
even if they
especially-
sell like 10% with the with this wheel and then everything else with the circular wheel, that's what everybody talked about when they first showed the pictures. And that's
True.
what they'll continue to talk about.
free marketing. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. It's just like this boom. It's like, oh geez, is the government going to say it's illegal to use that in a production car or not? And that was there was just a whole bunch of free press that happened because of that.
It may be super necessary if you happen to be going 200 miles an hour, to be honest with you, to have the yoke and not like be, because again, the tendency is to let the wheel slide through your hands, which you don't want to
Mhm.
do, and you won't do if you have a yoke. Like you will not release your grip on the wheel in a yoke driving situation.
And the
F1
other-
drivers, I mean, they're all driving in yokes, and those guys are doing 250, and they seem fine.
And one of the other things people talked about was a variable turning radius depending on your speed. So
Mhm.
you might not. I don't know exactly how much you'd have to do for a U-turn if you're, but you could imagine if you're going really slow, you could have the wheel turn a lot for every, for every like 2 degrees of turn, you could get like 3 times that amount of degrees of wheel turn or something even more so. But then when you're faster, it's, I don't know if that's looser or tighter, but that's something that at least was out there in terms of conversation, and I think that's probably about right, to make it a little easier for you to do bigger turns.
Tom, there was a question for you in the chat.
For
I
me?
think it's, talking about how much you've spent. So this is Duke who says, hey, Tom, honest answer. How much have you spent on your Model 3 maintenance costs since you picked up your 3 in late December 2017? I have spent $16.99 so far, but I do have super low mileage.
$16.99 is what he's saying. Or
$16.
Wow.
$16.
On what? What do you spend for
A new
$16.99?
cup holder?
A coffee? Yeah.
That's a That's a good question. I mean, my service in my, I'm gonna look and open my app. So I did pay for that radiator service. Okay, so I have 5 service invoices. The first invoice was Goodwill service. That was $0. So that's 0 so far.
All right, good job. You got them
and
beat
then
so far.
The second one was $136.50, and that was for general diagnosis and AC odor removal. So they charged me $136.50 to remove the odor in my AC, and I was irritated
I
as
got
hell
mine
about
for
it.
free, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, of
Because I had
course
the
you did.
same issue.
And then my last service was another air conditioning service because the first one didn't work, and they did not charge me for that. So far, I have $136.50 since January 1st of 2018.
That's not
That's
bad.
a very long time. I did have to buy tires, and I believe I've put $1 worth of windshield wiper fluid in there as well. Maybe $2 worth of windshield wiper fluid. So
I got another
yeah.
picture here from.
Ooh, look at that.
The badge.
Look at this. This is the badge to get in. I could have had that badge,
That's-
but no. Why did I
No.
get an invitation? I don't understand why I got an invitation.
Wow, I think it's good, Mel. You should use it.
Yeah,
It's too late now. I'm here and
especially since I told you I would go with you and protect you.
I was scared. I was scared.
Hold a bag
I
around
should have
you.
stayed a few more days. Maybe I could have
Yeah.
pretended I was Mel.
You could have pretended to be me and used my
Hello,
I mean,
voice.
you're-
hello,
you're-
mate. I'm
Get
Mel
cracked, mate.
Herbert.
Your accent.
My wife
is
calls me
uncanny.
Herbert.
Much better, much better.
It
Oh my
slips
God.
into Indian though.
Now we're all doing it. That's
Yeah.
great. This is
Even I'm trying to do
super.
an Australian accent that's coming out wrong. I mean, what the hell? What have you done, Joel?
So somebody asked Greg Kinar, I think that's his name. He's asked if I'd consider buying a used anything, used S, and I'm definitely considering buying a used X. I have a line on one, but that would replace one car for sure, and that might be just a way to be all EV. So I may have more information on that later on, but definitely.
What kind of X
this,
do you have a line on, if you don't mind me
It's
asking? What are we looking at?
it is a late 2016, so it has the autopilot.
It does.
The newer autopilot. So what is that? That was like AP2 or 2.1 for that car. It's a 70. I think it's a 75D. The batteries, it's not awesome range. It was probably what my S had. Maybe it's a little less than what my S had, but I think space-wise, it would be perfect for us.
It sounds so gangster when you say it that way. I have a line on. I got
Yes.
this line on Model X. I'm like,
Yeah,
what does it mean?
No,
What are you
No, it's
saying?
There's a guy.
I was a referral. I've just helped them with Teslas since they first started looking for cars, and she's pretty sure she wants to get a Y. And
Why?
because she
No,
wants
I
she
knew
wants
it was
longer
coming.
range,
Knew it was coming. Just love that. So
and
good.
she doesn't like the wings, or some of her family members don't like the Falcon wings as well. So
You mean
I
the
wish it
priest
made a
hitting
noise.
wings.
I wish it made the Falcon noise when they open. It was like,
then you'd know to get out of the way.
that'd be awesome. That'd be so
Yeah.
That's
good.
just a software upgrade. That's a genius idea.
Especially with 22 speakers. Oh, maybe there's a Plaid X. We didn't even mention that. Maybe
There
that
is.
could be the one new thing that they do tonight. Is maybe they.
It's already
announce-
known.
Oh, it
You
is.
can
Is
already
it for
order it.
sale? Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Well, then never mind. It won't be that.
So I'm watching a sort of a long video done by Vincent on Twitter, and I'd also read that they redid the test track at the Tesla Fremont
that's right.
factory, which is sort of in the back. If you're facing the factory, like looking at the superchargers, it's in the back right of
Mhm.
the property. Yes, Tom.
Why is the Plaid X cheaper?
I don't know. Why are you asking questions while I'm in the middle of just explaining something?
Please,
Don't
Robert.
know.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
And so they have all of these Model S's lined up alongside this center area, which is where all of the folks are meeting up. And it looks like they're all lined up, ready to go around the track. They also have a bunch of covered up things, like a vehicle that's all covered up, some tables with stuff on them that's all
Do you have
covered up with.
pictures? Can you send pictures? Oh, there we go.
I'm showing them now. Here we go.
It's-
Here's the video.
Yeah, there it is.
I'll go full screen for you.
So there's another vehicle here that's all covered up. It looks like a Model S. It's got the long, yeah, I could, or maybe
We're not
actually
seeing.
that's
We're
an
not.
X.
I'm not seeing that covered up vehicle yet in this video.
Sorry,
so-
I'm in a different sync with you. Let me get back to where
Yeah,
Mel is.
clearly. Oh yeah, they're over
Oh,
there.
look, there's shardy and chicken sliders and stuff.
Sure is,
Delicious.
yeah, definitely.
Gotta
And
bring
probably some techno music playing. And there's the cars all lined up. Those are probably the ones that are getting delivered. And they look like they're ready to go around the track, or they're going to use those to give people a hair-raising ride around the track with all of the plaid.
So there's
performance.
definitely a big vehicle right there. That's a Cybertruck. There's a Cybertruck.
It's a very
covered up.
wide vehicle, yeah.
If you keep going, like the third vehicle
in
in
the
the
way
shot
back?
that we're on right now, in the way back, there's a Cybertruck.
That looks like an
covered up.
X.
Yeah, I think it's
No,
an
it's
What's
a
that? That's the
sub-
ATV?
That's
What's
gonna
that
be
thing?
that's gonna be the ATV or the bike that goes in the Cybertruck, is my guess.
Okay, I don't know about that because it's on top of something.
Oh,
It doesn't.
it's weird.
I don't know. Looks like it
Casting.
could be like a jet
Ooh.
ski.
It looks like a jet ski. I was thinking the same
It
It
thing.
does, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And these look like mini Teslas that are on those tables, which might be mini plaid or something, or some sort of a mini
that's-
roadster.
So that was
That looks like an X.
An X.
It's very
yeah.
round.
Yeah,
It's too
Yeah, I
round
looked at
for
the
a-
back.
yeah, that's an X
Ooh,
for
She's
sure.
blocking them.
See the contour, how it drops off in the back, and it stays up quite high.
Yeah, that's a.
That's what.
That's
yeah,
nice.
that's an X.
Do you think
So
they would
that's a
release
future
the
look.
X without the wings, or no matter what they'll
No.
release? They
They'll
won't-
always
they
have
will.
wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's another car with like what, the hood up? Or it got smashed and they're going to show how wonderful it
looks
is,
like
even though
that's
it
a
got
total-
smashed. Yeah.
That's a roadster, is it? To the left there, it looked like that.
Yeah, I
was
was
a
wondering.
roadster.
I was wondering.
Hmm.
And then there's probably a plaid Model S up there on the stage.
Couple more, yeah, coming up over here.
Mhm.
Looks like a big
Maybe they're
event. They
gonna-
put up a lot of truss and moving lights for this event.
They did. That's why I figured they're waiting until sunset.
I'm also
And
seeing
I
people with a
wonder-
very high income. I'm just seeing that right now.
I wonder if one of these cars has the same bulletproof glass as the Cybertruck, and they're actually going to demonstrate that it's bulletproof.
That would be.
They're just gonna they're gonna take a shot in the middle of a crowd of 100 people.
Yeah,
I
what could
really
go
hope
wrong?
not. That sounds like
Or
a
maybe they'll just
terrible-
throw a steel ball at it.
terrible. That's fine, but I mean, let's not break out any firearms.
Is that
Oh, that that looked like
Franz?
them. Yeah, that looked like Franz.
Nice leather jacket, Franz. Just keep following them back there.
keep this going? What else can we just totally?
So
be
whose
wrong
video
about?
is this,
Yeah.
Mel?
This is from
Vincent from Twitter.
Oh, okay. Somebody
if you do
also did a
Vincent Twitter-
flyover too. I probably could send it to you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Or-
that was cool. They're set
Because the
up.
flyover showed you the track, and they really got close to the track too.
I thought the
So they have a
Tesla.
bunch
Are
of
you a
plans.
Patreon of the Tesla flyover guy? Because I thought his video was for Patreons only. The flyover video of the track.
No. I
Okay.
saw that straight up on YouTube.
Okay.
So
That's cool.
coming up in a minute, they're going to show a whole bunch of plaid Model S's that are on sort of a burlap or some kind of carpet, and they're all open and people are crawling all through them, which is kind of cool because then they can discover some of the things we talked about on our list. Should we keep on the list?
Yeah,
There's
let's
not a lot
go
of
here.
people. Actually, I think we got to keep going with this video. This is fascinating. People want to see this.
No,
let's get
keep
Vertical
on
List in a second.
with the video. We can just talk about what's
What?
on the
But
car.
I want commentary. I love
Those
your
are going to
commentary.
be
The
those are
insight.
going to be those are going to be the delivery ones, right? Because they're off the track, right? The ones that were on the track are going to be the test drivers, and those.
no,
are
but these are the ones people are getting into. So I don't think
Oh, yeah,
unless
that-
they
that
say, "Hey,
makes
this
sense.
is your
Yeah.
car,"
yeah.
unless they say this one is yours.
Almost none of them are white, which is interesting, right? Considering like they've made the white the default color. Most of these are not white.
Shows you that the folks who got this car don't really give a damn about paying extra.
Yeah.
But
well,
in
if
one
you've
of
just dropped
the
120 grand, 121 is not a big deal.
yeah, there was the pictures over the fence and drone pictures that showed all of these plaid Model S's, and there were very few white. I only saw, I don't know, less than a dozen out of a few hundred.
That seems like an awful lot of cars to not be the delivered cars, right? Like it just seems like
Yeah.
a
Right.
lot of cars to let people crawl over and maybe I think you're right. Maybe it's like if that's your car,
There's a
maybe
3 back there though.
you got
They
your
have
phone.
numbers on them, you see.
Was
That's
there a 3?
13,
Maybe not. Go ahead, Robert.
015. So I agree. I think those are the delivery cars.
Melvis, when this one ends, I sent you another one that's a flyover, I believe, of this this location.
This has ended.
Okay, well there you go.
So
Here,
while
back.
you're switching that over, we'll go to so the next thing on the list was increased rear seat legroom and headroom. I don't know where they're getting that from, but they must have. I wonder if they made the trunk smaller.
Legroom, headroom. I mean, the legroom, the floor was just a little higher, but it wasn't bad though. So I don't even. I'm not sure you're really going to notice much, but maybe a couple inches they found somewhere.
And then, like we mentioned, the rear seat touch screen. That's a touch screen. That's kind of cool. 10 teraflops of processing power, enabling in-car gaming on par with today's newest consoles. Do you think they got like the 8090 GPU in that thing?
They got somebody can remind me. Jesus, I forgot the name. Sorry.
That's
maybe
all right.
Somebody remembers the name on
And
the
then
chat.
and then a redesigned second row with enhanced center armrest, which we talked
Right.
about, and wireless charging and cup holders for that rear as well. So that's
We're past
Uh,
8. When are they going to go live?
it's Elon time.
Yes.
Drag-
it's-
We need
Drag-
we need to be
Drag.
checking that. Oh, they say 8 more minutes. Okay, so let's do the flyover. I've got the flyover
AMD.
from Joel, so let me share that for a few minutes.
So it was an
Uh,
AMD processor. And AMD announced it earlier in the week.
Mhm.
That chip, and it's ultra powerful. It seems like overkill, but maybe they're going to have some other things you can do with it.
Here's
And that's
your
the main
flyover.
chip. That's not a GPU chip that you're talking about at that point. Right? Oh, there it is. Look at that. Look, it's a truck at Tesla. Sorry. So we got, and look, those are the same cars that we're seeing, that same area where the cars were covered, and those cars are currently uncovered in this flyover photo. So there's 2 covered ones over there. That
Yeah, in the
X
middle, there's
is not,
covered ones.
that X is not on the scene at this point. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 22 cars in what we assume is that delivery area. There's 22 in there, two white ones, although they've definitely moved some around because I believe there was a white one in the front row at a different spot. And that's pretty sweet. Yeah, the 2 smash vehicles are right there. Those are definitely both front end collision cars. I wonder if those were the crash test vehicles.
Is somebody going to buy those? I want to buy your crash test dummy.
You want to buy a crash tester? Yeah.
Maybe Sandy Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Oh, he's going around the track.
Oh, look at that. He flew right through
But
the
that's
little.
the same setup that they had for Plaid Roadster. When they launched the Plaid Roadster, you went through that same kind of light show.
You did. No, well, I didn't.
Yes, sir.
But you did. You dropped the coin. Look at that hairpin right there. That'll be an interesting test of the yoke right there, right? That's a pretty tight little right turn, left turn. Sorry. That's not the track anymore. We've left the building. Look at all those one part. Look at that. That's all Tesla chassis right there, like lined up from the casting from the casting machine. You think those are just they're storing the chassis outside, or are those rejects that are waiting to be melted back down?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's all rejects. That's so sad. And the cars.
These all look like threes, right?
Well, I think this is delivery is, end of quarter, sort of getting ready to
Park
vomit a
them
bunch of cars.
anywhere.
Put them
Yeah.
where you can.
They all
Well,
looks like a bunch of key fobs, all the black ones.
That's true.
Right.
From this height, you look like a key fob.
yeah, there was also some parts that were missing or hadn't been delivered. But I mean, actually, they didn't technically say that, but there was a reason why they couldn't deliver all those cars there, whether
Yeah.
it was a part or there was an update in software. But I'd say they probably would have delivered them if it was just software related. At least delivered them to the dealerships. So that's most likely why we see all those cars there, ready to go.
Elon's brain, who we know so well, says that there are people reporting that there is tequila in the center consoles. What?
Nice.
200-mile-an-hour car, including a bottle of tequila.
That's a nice little plus.
Yeah, there's a ramp there, so
Okay,
they're
so-
definitely going to drive a car up on stage. They're definitely going to drive something on stage because there's a little ramp. There was a ramp
Yeah.
there at the.
And
at the
Duke
edge of
is
the
asking,
stage.
I think, a good question. Why are some covered and why are some not? So they're clearly revealing stuff we haven't seen before.
Right.
There's
Well,
a
it
whole
looks
bunch
like
of
the
S's
two-
out there that we've seen, and then
Yeah.
they've got some covered ones.
It's true. It looks like the two that are covered are front end collision. Is that a semi right there?
That is a semi,
Not-
but I do not
Not
know
a
that it's
Tesla
electric.
semi.
I just
Not
want
a
to check
Tesla.
the time. So we've got 4 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
4 minutes of Elon time. So we'll go back to
A lot
here
of
for a second.
vehicles
Okay.
right there.
that's not bad.
A lot of semis, a lot of cars. I like
A lot of cars.
Big, big.
Yeah.
big.
Yeah. So there was a production hold, and Dave Dubrow. I'm doing a horrible job today. Said, do you think it was the radar module that caused cars to be in that production hold? It was definitely something, and that's pretty good. That's a pretty
Being
good
in a
choice.
radar hold because like in a hold
No.
because there weren't enough radar modules.
Right. And so what we know is that they decided to take them fully out of the Y and the 3, but they're leaving them for now in the X and the S. Well, the S right now because X isn't being made yet.
Mhm.
And initial thoughts were that the S may have needed them also because they wanted to do that that feature where it decides if you can go forward or not, and if you have a little extra information, it might help you.
Mhm.
But
We didn't even talk about that. We didn't even talk about the how it's going to just determine whether you need to be in park, drive, or reverse. And I was again telling my wife about this, because we're trying to put an X lease in the future. And she's like, "I don't want that. That sounds terrible." And I'm like, "I agree. It sounds like it's going to be a complete cluster, but let's keep an open mind."
yeah, it might
Hopefully
be
tonight
fun.
we'll hear that. We'll see some of
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah,
maybe.
we'll see it for sure.
Or is that the giant gigapress? Is that the gigantic gigapress right there?
Dubray.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
David
good.
Dubray.
Could be.
I said it wrong.
You've said every name wrong.
It's
making
what
me
we
feel
it's
good,
it's
so-
kind of what we it's kind
That's
of
what
what
we
we
do.
do on this show.
No,
It's sort of
Tom,
our-
you're the one that's supposed to pronounce it correctly.
I'm not
even-
reading the chat, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I have 3 other windows open, so I'm not actually in the chat. But it's what? So it's just an open roofed. How is Tesla happy that some guy's just flying a drone over their factory? How's
They
the
gotta be
FAA?
pissed.
Elon has said in the past that he doesn't mind as long as it's done safely. And that was mostly over the gigafactories, but I don't know about for an
Right.
event. But
I mean,
I mean,
these
but look
guys,
at
this
this.
is very, very close. So don't
yes,
you
this
think?
is getting up in your business.
Yeah, I mean, this is like in the factory, like inside
Yeah.
machinery. Like you could definitely, if they didn't have something covered, that could be very problematic. There
I
are
wouldn't
literally
say
Yeah,
that.
cars.
that drone.
Are you noticing though? One thing is like the predominant car color is not white, even though that's the free color. I think that's
Right.
very telling because we all assumed that they switched that because the predominant color people were ordering was white. So they were just like, oh, let's just make it easy on ourselves. But they actually probably were like, oh, most people aren't ordering white. Let's charge $1,500 for the other colors.
When this stream actually goes live, I'm going to try and stream it from here, but it might be a cluster. So I would make sure
Yeah.
you've all mute and.
Those are very choppy on when I'm watching the videos on my end, Mel, through
Yeah,
this Zoom.
That was
They're
like
very
that was
choppy.
me. Yeah, I think this will be better, but there's a setting and I've got
Okay.
alt.
Who thinks they're going to start on time on this time?
No, said no one ever at a Tesla event, or actually said
Oh.
everyone ever, and the answer is always no one.
So Dave Dubray also said, Mel, regarding the lack of stocks, Electrek reported that there'd. Yes, thank you. Reported that there'd be the park, reverse, neutral, drive buttons on the center console next to the Qi chargers. That somebody else said that I actually pronounced it right.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
So at 23 seconds, is Elon going to walk straight out? No.
That'd be awesome. I don't think it's dark enough yet, to be honest with you. Unless they're going
Well,
to start
it's
with
interesting
something
that
else.
one of the guys on Twitter was actually following Elon's plane and announced when Elon's plane landed at the San Jose airport. And I thought that was pretty cool. It's hard for me.
We've got live stream will
Sometimes
start soon. Okay, that's great. That was a countdown to tell you.
Get down to this next screen. So Melvis, you're in the market for an X. Are you in the market for a Plaid X? It's less range, obviously. 300
I'm
and
all about range.
okay.
So right now our lease is up in December,
Mhm.
and so you actually
about
have to order now to
Yeah.
get one by January. So
Mhm.
that's what I was getting to the wife. You're like, we need to start like configuring this thing now. So we put in a order and stuff.
And would you consider a used one or purchasing the one that you have?
No, I want the new one has 360 miles range. Ours has a now functional 280 mile range. So there's a lot of stuff in the new one that I'd like. The things that are holding us back is the yoke steering wheel and how do you go into drive and reverse? That seems very complicated.
You
That's
can
just a button.
you can still select it. You'll hear more as people experience it, but you still can, if you want to change it or if you just want to select it yourself, you'll still be able to push something on the center console.
Yeah, my
So
guess
Bobby-
is also like you could do what we've talked about, which is call them up and say I want the round steering wheel and see what happens.
But you can't do it now. So that's a bit anxiety producing. So there might be a last second, we're not getting an X, we're getting a Y.
Why?
She needs the big, because it's bigger. Why? Because it's got.
Are you
good
going to
features.
get the 5-seat, 6-seat, 7-seat? What's on the agenda?
Well, again, this is a problem because we don't need the 7-seater a lot, but when we do, it's really good. But that last in the Y, the last 2 seats are really for a kid. So maybe that would work. We'd probably get the 7-seater and then throw little tiny children in the back and the adults in the 5 front seats.
All right.
Myself, basically, I'm.
And interior color going to go white.
No, she wants to go black because of the filthiness.
Okay, good. I like it. And probably just the 20-inch wheels for her.
Yes.
White.
Did we talk FSD yet?
We'll get there. We're gonna get there.
Good part. Let's get to the good part.
White.
Let's go with
Sorry.
white. White. We haven't had
White.
white for a while. Let's go with
All
white.
right. So we got white, we got black interior, we got 7 seats, and now we've got the opportunity to purchase full self-driving capability. It's full self-driving capability, and it's full by your self-driving capability.
Thank you. As long as it's by yourself. I just wanna
No,
know
it's
that I
not.
can
It's
drive
actually
it by
full
myself.
self-driving. And so navigate on autopilot, pretty useful. Auto lane change, auto park, summon, full self-driving computer, and traffic light and stop sign control coming later this year. Auto steer on city streets later this year, Mel. So $10,000, or without that, you get none of it.
tough question.
That is a hard one. I mean, I guess the real question is like, is it worth? Are those features worth 10 grand? And you said on the last show, which I listened to, no, that it's not worth 10 grand. You said something in the neighborhood of 5 grand. So that vehicle is a cash price of $103,000
Tell me the
and
lease price.
lease payment of $1,295.
1295 used
Oh,
to
that's-
seem ridiculous. Now
with
it seems like
7,500
doable.
down for 36 months and 10,000 miles a year of driving. How
And
many
I
miles
need
over
15,000.
your lease are you? How many miles
Oh,
over that?
very,
Right.
very, very many miles over.
Yeah. Right.
And
Well, that's
I-
why I asked about whether or not you'd consider purchasing the next one instead of leasing
But
and
the
just
thing is, here's the trick with leases. Let me give you the inside deal.
yeah.
although this may not be true anymore.
Mhm.
We were way over on the last one. They're like, don't worry about it. If you lease another one, we forgive all those miles.
Mm.
Oh,
If they're
wow.
so production constrained and they can sell all of these, they might not be so generous this time. They
Yeah,
might like
I'd be
"Mm, no,
curious. When's your lease up? Have they started calling you?
December. Yeah, they
Are
sent an
they?
email.
Okay.
It's up in December, but I can't get another one until January, February. It says so. We might have to lease month to month.
You can't get another one because they're not ordered, because they're not available. Like you can't.
Because they just say on the website, like if you try and get a Model X right now, it's like delivers February. Just see what they
Wow.
do. Do the delivery thing.
Order
Yeah,
with
X is slow. I mean, Jason from the LA Tesla Club, who's the president, has had one on order for, I think, since January when they first started taking orders, and they won't even give him a delivery date. Last I heard.
And what do we think that's about?
That's a good
Fixing the
question.
Falcon
is it
doors.
batteries? Is it Falcon Wing doors? Is it what is it about this new S and X that's so different that they can't just build them?
I just have this weird inkling that they're putting a new battery in it. That's going to be the
I like the
thing.
way you're thinking.
And they're having problems with it, which is a
Hmm.
problem. Right?
Well,
Like,
everybody's
think
talking
it's
about
supply
like
chain.
these chips and across the world, and whether it's a computer,
Yeah.
whether it's a phone, whether it's a car. This is the thing that's really holding everybody back. But is that?
but
it?
how different is that chip than the Model 3 chip? So really, I mean, like fundamentally, the chip that controls the car should theoretically be pretty similar. And they're not supply constrained on the Model 3, right? Like the only fundamental difference is theoretically they could be trying to put a whole new battery pack in this thing.
I don't
Well,
know.
there are other chips,
many
right? Aren't there
unknowns.
like more than 100 chips in each car that control the seats and the windows and the lights and the turn signals? And there's like chips everywhere.
Right, but there's lights and blinkers and all that stuff in the Model 3 as well, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they're both cars, right? They both have motors, like, one chip, two chip, three chip. It could be that they're prioritizing the chips in the Model 3, and maybe that has something to do with it. But it just feels like the margins on these vehicles are pretty high, I imagine. Right?
I just want to second what Julian Emma said here, that he is out of this boring live event. I
Okay.
would like to leave too, Julian, but I can't right now. Okay, so
It is a boring
It
live event.
helps. It helps if you have the Clippers game playing on your extra computer on the side.
is
You
that
haven't-
your trick?
That's why I'm focused over here. It's the end of the second quarter, and it's been a very close game,
Yeah.
back and forth. Utah's staying ahead, but only by like 2-3 points, 4 points at this point.
We definitely need to
And-
learn that when these live events occur, that we should start streaming when they say they're going to go live, and doing it beforehand is ridiculous. Remember that time we went to the live event? It was like 2.5 hours late.
Oh, it was so
That
long.
was very upsetting, and there wasn't
Yeah.
enough shardies and sliders to make me happy. It was like, really, this
What
is
do you-
disrespectful.
Well, let's
They
go
need
back to
lounge chairs.
the rampant speculation. Do you guys believe there could be long range Ys and 3s announced as a one more thing, like a 410
Nope.
Y, a 410 3?
Not today.
Not
Battery
until they
performance.
have
Nope.
4680s.
No, I think they need every battery they can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they need to do something to sell Ys and 3s. They can't build them fast enough.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
It does raise
Fair
the
enough.
question of why we're even having an event of S and X, which is like, even though they're going to sell a lot more of these than they were in the past.
Yeah.
They're so battery
10,000 news
constrained.
stories. It was every news story today
Right.
in the car universe. All day was Tesla,
Just
Tesla,
advertising.
Tesla, Tesla,
Just
right?
a big refresh, great advertising.
Yeah,
keep
they
Tesla in the
pay
news.
for,
Yeah.
they get some people up there, they put some lights up, and they basically get millions of dollars in ad space, all day long. Plus, they
It's-
have the four of us idiots talking about this for 2 hours.
it's a flagship model, and so they want to get, you know, the fastest car out there. We'll find out about the range, and they just want to. Elon likes superlatives, and so he wants the best in superlatives,
Right.
and he wants to show. And so my guess is that they're going to come out with something really good, but I keep saying it. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, in the
It's
chat,
really close.
Khaled has told us why things are getting late because Elon is getting high right now. In order
Why?
to speak publicly, he is getting it's his
high in the
420 time.
high in the Y. 420. Let's not assume that. Oh wait, never mind. We know Elon smokes weed. So it's cool. We don't have to assume. We've seen it live.
So,
Ladies and gentlemen,
can we
I'd
go
like to
back
introduce you to my special guest, Elon Musk. Oh wait, no, he's not here.
That didn't happen.
I'm not in
Can
Fremont.
we go back and speculate for a second? To
Please.
Those podiums that look like they had jet skis.
Oh,
Could they drop that? Electric jet skis. He's actually tweeted about in the past, like no
Right.
oil destroying the thing. Could they just drop that as an aside game?
Yeah, I mean, it could be like electric go-karts, right? To get rid of
Mhm.
like gas two-stroke go-karting, right? That would be amazing because there's a lot of go-karting that happens on the planet as well.
Mhm.
Because one of them kind of looked like it could be go-kart
Yes.
shaped.
Yeah.
That would be pretty incredible. My guess is that they're not new versions of Power Wheels, but you know, I mean,
It
they
could be.
could be as simple as parts though. It could be like one of the engines, one of the like one of the motors. I won't call them engines. One of the motors, or like some of the battery cells in some sort of interesting configuration. It could be as simple as that. Were those in the flyby video? Actually, did we see that area? We go back to the flyby video and see if we see that area, whether or not they were there, or you could go back to that other
They
video.
weren't.
We can pause there on that other video that was on the ground and see if we can talk about them while we're looking at them. Maybe that will be more exciting for folks. I'll keep an eye on the stream for you, Melvis.
What do you want me to
So
do?
I'm seeing here that
So that one video that you showed with the guy walking
I
around
have.
holding his phone
Guess I'm not.
vertically.
Oh,
Hold on
okay,
one
let
second,
me
Robert.
find
Don't
it.
be so sensitive. Sheesh. Go ahead now, Robert.
you're just going on and on about go-karting. I think that that's very possible that Tesla does something like they did with the Radio Flyer. They'll put a brand on something, they'll give it their blessing because it's rechargeable and it has some decent batteries and it's not going to take a bunch of batteries. And that could be something cute. Something I wanted to say here was that on Twitter, I'm seeing that they're exercising on-site COVID testing, which I thought was pretty good. I don't know that it's mandatory or anything, but that's an interesting thing. I didn't expect that they would put something like that out.
Robert, what was the name of the person doing the flyover?
Not the
Video?
flyover, the other video. The other video, not the flyover.
Yeah, the walking around.
It was
sorry.
Vincent.
Vincent.
Keep going, Robert, please.
Vincent, where is your video, Vincent? Oh, I can't.
It's
find it.
there's also one here from Tesla Silicon Valley where they're showing the progression of the Model S from the alpha version through the initial version with the black front nose cone to the
Onto-
current version. And then there's something behind a black curtain. I'll send this one to you, but it's
think
not the
I've
one that
got this one.
Tom wants to see.
Yeah, I can't recreate the wheel, but here is Tesla owner Silicon Valley that's there. They've got this picture, which you see in this puppy.
Yep. What is
You
that?
blow that up. Don't know what that thing is.
Oh.
What is that?
Oh, it's a Model S on the side.
Oh, you're right. Wow.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what that was for, and it was it has the 0.28, which is the coefficient of drag. So showing
Okay.
how aerodynamic the new version is.
Okay, and they've got some other pics here. They've got the plaid thing here. And oh, that's pretty cool.
QR. It almost looks like it could be Tom.
France.
There we go.
So here's
I'm
a
here.
wheel. Let's blow this puppy up, see what they got.
Sick.
I
Going
might
today.
just turn off the audio. Yeah, just in
Yeah.
case there's music.
Not seeing anything new in this puppy.
I wonder if it's like a wave runner kind of thing. Be
It
interesting.
is summertime. It would be a good time to put out something that has to do with water and sunshine.
I have an electric e-foil. I would be very happy if they came out with a Tesla e-foil, which is like a surfboard with a foil on the bottom, which is electric. It's so fun.
In the chat, Stephen said, remember Nikola had on their website an electric wave runner. Maybe Elon's one-upping him.
I would like that. I got to keep dropping back to the event here, which will start soon, you know. It's not kinda late now. It's all good. Well, Robert, if you have any other people, let me know, and I'll just because it's really nice to be able to jump to the event.
Here, I
and
got
see where
it's.
we're at.
I got the link to this, Melvis. I'll send it to you.
Send it to me.
Yeah, I put one in the in
Actually,
our
if you can email it
message
to me,
chat.
that would help a lot.
You want me to
It's
email it
easier.
to you?
Yeah,
I could do that.
because then I can boom it pretty faster.
So, Robert, do you think it's going to be 18 650s in the car or 2170s?
Yeah, it's either 18650s or the 4680s. I don't think they're going to go up to the middle battery, which is dedicated to 3 and Y. I don't know. I mean, it depends on how much activity there's been at Cato Road test factory, and if they're
Right.
actually producing usable materials. I mean, it's not that many. I mean, if they put out 300 cars, you know, that number of batteries, there's like almost 5,000 regular 18650s. There would be considerably less 4680s in a Model S. Maybe that's part of the reason why there was such a delay. I think I saw some pictures of the skateboard, and it looked considerably different than the skateboard of the old Model S, which they used to have
Right.
in the showrooms all the time, which I spent
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of time staring at. It looks very different now.
Because you really have to wonder what they're doing with all of those cells. So it's either going to Tesla Energy. I mean,
No.
they're either all scrapped, right? But even there's
Or they're
still
just
some good
stored.
pieces, right? Yeah.
We're prototyping Cybertrucks, right? I mean, like, there's a lot of.
I mean, they could be saving them up, but it seems like you could put them in a premium brand.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the past, what the big three would do is they would put all of their newest technology and sort of ones that maybe weren't they didn't know what the reliability was yet. They put it in their highest selling brands that didn't sell a lot of items. So if something broke, they could go fix it and say, I'm sorry. So I don't know if that's something that they were thinking about. There is a reason for the delay, and I don't know if we'll fully know why. Because at the beginning shareholders call first of the year, it was going to be coming out, and I think
Here
it
it
was
is, right
March or
here.
so. Yeah, what is?
So you can pause
stop on
this.
that?
You can pause the video right here, Melvis. Boom. So I don't know. Thoughts? It seems kind of small for a wave runner, in my
Yeah.
opinion. It doesn't look like it has wheels on the bottom of it, so it's hard to tell whether it could be a bike.
Is it a casting?
Could be.
Could
It
be.
seems like we've seen the castings, and even if Tesla hasn't shown it, they know that we've seen it. So it feels like
Yeah.
it has to be something else, but it kind of looks like one of the castings. Or it's about the same.
By casting again, please explain.
Ultimately, we don't know if the Model S has castings. So that's actually something interesting if they are using Giga castings. So I guess that would be.
So
That would be
Giga
valid
castings
here?
again. You need to be more explanatory.
No, so
my
I'll
friend.
back up here. So instead of welding and gluing a whole bunch of parts to make like the front end or the
Mhm.
back end, they actually injection mold the whole part, the whole back end and the whole front end, which is happening with the Y for sure, with their injected aluminum. And so that's a casting, and it saves a lot of It saves
labor.
They're
a
too
lot of
small for
a lot
that,
of
though.
labor,
They're
a lot of
big parts.
welding, a lot of time. Something
Yeah.
around 300 pieces get saved, and uh, a
Seem-
lot less robots are used and
Yeah,
whatnot. So
seems like such a weird thing to highlight, but
yeah,
It's
but that
too
might help with
small.
the weight savings. There's
yeah,
a good deal of weight savings that they've gotten on the new S as well.
Yeah.
But I agree though that I don't know.
I don't know, Joel.
Doesn't feel
That
like it,
would,
but-
I think, make it important, like enough that they would have to get crash tests done all over again, like revalidation of their crash tests.
but don't they
Man,
have to
I've
do
heard
that
nothing.
anyways? No.
Nah.
But that's a self-certification though. So meaning that they're not, unless they failed multiple times, it's a self-certification. So they go and do it on their own. They present
Yeah.
the test to NHTSA and whomever else needs those tests. So I don't think they'd be delayed from that much, but
The music has started
The
on the
music
Well,
live
I would
stream.
I would expect someone like Consumer Reports to jump all over that and try to find some way to spin it. I haven't heard anything about it, so
I haven't either. I didn't think they would be doing it, but if it is a casting, why would be showing us a Model 3 casting or Model Y casting at a Model S event?
yeah.
So, but
It's a
we'll
jet ski.
see.
I'm saying it right now. It's a jet ski.
It's
It's just too darn
Yeah.
small, in my opinion, for that. I don't think it's a go
It's a new
kart. I don't
form
think
of
the
jet
other.
ski. It's a small jet ski. It's
Okay.
I think there's
it's
also
huge,
in that.
tiny.
What did you say, Mel? What did you think it was?
A tiny jet ski for its efficiencies. It's for
I was just
tiny
playing with
people.
you, man. I think
So-
they're going to have a roadster go-kart, not go-kart, but like the mini car that they made
The
a Model
radio
S of.
flyer.
Power
radio
wheel or
flyer.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a Cybertruck radio flyer would cause a lot of stir, right?
Boy, that would
I'm
actually
loving what's-
serve the mission even more, because then you get all the guys who want to buy the Cybertruck and really lock them down. Once they buy that toy for their kid's going to say, "When's the big one coming, Daddy? When's the big one coming, Mom?"
I'm loving what is happening on the East Coast because I'm exhausted and I'm getting up early. And the East Coast people are like, "This is ridiculous. It's midnight."
Yep, Wendy
already.
and Prishnu Gandhi. Yep, it's 11:35 now. I think I need a coffee soon for sure.
Why don't they do these at 5 Pacific time so that the East Coast? What is?
They don't care.
It's the
This is
lights.
annoying.
Because
They
they're
want the
not
lights.
they're not thoughtful. They didn't want to do it indoors.
Oh my god.
Some other people like so I'm watching the rerun of the video from that we were watching on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying, or a couple people were saying like, "Oh, that's a go-kart. That's the shape of a go-kart." I don't think so anymore now that I've seen it up close, but I'm super curious. They have those items. They have 2 front-end collision vehicles. It's just seems so odd. It's like such an odd mixture of things. And I
Right.
do wonder, I mean, my guess is that those things will just at some point get uncovered, but he won't talk about them. But maybe he'll
Right.
talk, like, is he gonna like talk about it?
Yeah, they're going to talk about it. Why not?
I mean, I think
Well,
that the Cybertruck reveal was so much more extensive, and if it wasn't sort of waylaid by the broken window, I think he would have gone. They were planning to go through a lot of the details of the car, and some things sounded like they were cut out. So maybe again they're going to go through a good deal of the cars. They never ended up having a powertrain day, so they may go deeply into the powertrain as well. So
At midnight.
my time,
I
yeah.
was just thinking, what if they?
I'll
come
have
out
to
with
sit down.
Like this is all lame. They're going to burn bridges in terms of like these live events, which companies really use to create energy and excitement. If this is fairly lame, I think people are going to be like, whatever, with your live event that's late.
But
for
Repo,
East Coast,
which
it's
one of
1
them
a.m., you're
hasn't
done.
been fairly lame? Honestly, like which one of them like we've been to a bunch of them. They're cool, but they're not like they're not
Well, I
amazing.
stopped
Like,
going because they were fairly lame, and I go to bed at 9 o'clock at night.
right,
So,
but that's my point, is that they've been fairly lame and they
so why are we
continue to do
here?
them, and
Tom,
they're
you like the Cybertruck. You guys went to the Cybertruck event, right?
for sure just like
And you were
just a,
crazy. You sounded like a young schoolboy
right, but
yelling
again,
about
like
it.
the
So
way
now it's different.
no, I'm just saying, like, but the way they do the events, like, they're not very well planned. They don't go
Yeah.
off on time, like those aspects of them. Yeah, but even like, or even like the Model Y event me and Robert went to, we waited for how many hours and we couldn't even get in the thing, right? Like, so
The Y event was boring all around. I completely agree with you.
okay, and the 3
because
event, right? The 3
The
delivery
event was
event.
fine.
Yeah.
Delivery, I forget that one, but yeah, that was fine.
Yeah.
It's more. I think that one of the things that people like is that it's not so glitz and glamour and look, it's sort of Hollywood produced sort of thing. I mean, even though
no,
that's what you
for
guys
sure.
are. I
Yeah,
think
yeah. I mean,
they feel like there's something about before I knew anyway, like that Elon was on the Asperger's spectrum. It was just like sometimes it was hard to hear him talk, but that made him like real. Like when he's
Yeah,
stuttering and
for sure.
stammering and stuff. And so
Yeah.
I think if you make it, if you looked at the Ford event, it was so staged that I think the reason why people like, at least the current people that like Tesla, like the fact that doesn't feel as staged as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think all events are kind of lame. I mean, even the Rivian event was kind of lame in the way that they did it in general. Like, they're not, at the end of the day, you're standing around looking at a car, right? So that it is what it is, and I understand that. Like, the semi event was amazing, right? Because they rolled, once they rolled that Roadster out, it was on, man. Like, that people, I thought the biggest problem that they had there was they made the semi a little bit secondary that evening, and that was an amazing announcement. But like, as soon as that Roadster rolled out of there, everybody was like, semi who? What?
Because the semi is for a commercial, and the Roadster is something that, well, most of those people in the room couldn't afford, but it got you excited about it. And
it sold a lot of cars, man. Right, sold a lot of S's and X's after that for those for the referral system and stuff like that. But I mean, the semi itself, sorry to interrupt, but the semi itself was a game changer vehicle, right? Like, that's a Tesla mission vehicle.
Yes,
100%. You know.
And it they've been working hard to try to get that to come out, but ultimately, in the end, it's about the thing that gets people excited about Tesla are the commercial vehicles. I mean, the retail vehicles. So the ones that everybody else can afford. So if it was just semi, that would be interesting and exciting, because it's game changing. It's paradigm shifting. Tom, if you can hear me still. But the Roadster was a good choice to show. It's too bad it hasn't come out yet.
Thomas Holloway is saying, and this is very true, compare this reveal to Apple's Worldwide Developer Forum and how good Apple has got at pre-recording stuff and just knocking it out of the ballpark. And then Tesla is like, they need to up their game because, like I said before, this is beginning to piss people off. Like, it shows some disrespect for people at this point. It's like, Elon's flying in 5 minutes before. No, pre-record some stuff. Do this like a real event, or stop doing it because you're going to get bad press.
Yeah. And I mean, Apple is always been a relatively buttoned up company. Like, they're typically, or at least not anymore, having events where you can't get the stuff pretty immediately, although there's still some delays where, Tesla's, the semi event was how long ago now? 3 years. And they still haven't delivered on a semi.
That's the
sort
of difference between the wartime CEO and the alternate to that. So it's like Tesla and Elon, they're always got so many burners going that it's hard to keep the eggs from burning on one of those burners. And this definitely is not their forte. We were talking about the skateboard, Mel, and I sent you a email
Wait, stop.
with
It has
the
started.
Model
It
S.
has
The lights are
started.
up. The lights are up
Oh.
on the event.
All right, I'm still hearing the
So
blah
So
blah
we've got
music.
a we've got a
Mute
drone
yourselves.
flyover.
Mute yourselves and
The-
we'll basically let it
Here we
run.
go. I hear people.
The covers are still on those items. There's not very many people there. It's not at all jam-packed. Less than 100, it looks like. And interestingly, this event was supposed to take place a week ago. So I wonder if a lot of those people who got delayed. He's got a sledgehammer in his hand.
There you go. I told you.
Oh yeah. All right.
Good one. Good call, Robert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Fremont, California. We're out here at the test track of our Fremont factory, just a few meters away from where we actually build all of our Tesla vehicles. We're super excited to have you all here. In fact, almost 9 years ago, on June 22nd, 2012, we had our first Model S delivery event right over there in the factory. So we've come a long way in a few years. We set out to design, engineer, and manufacture the best car in the planet, and we've been working tirelessly every day to try to make that happen. And tonight, we're going to show you the next best version of Model S. And I brought this along because we might be breaking a few records. But more about that later. So let's get Elon out here and have him show you how we made the best car in the world.
Records, not windows. Interesting.
Good joke. Ooh, pre-recorded.
A car of any kind.
The Model S. This is an ambitious goal to create a whole new kind of car. A lot of Wall Street is betting Tesla can't get it done.
I like how they put the Consumer Reports thing up front there because they've gone back and forth with that quite a bit.
A little dig. Yes. Saw the 2 times chart. Nice, finishes as planned. Clean this back, adjusts the back air conditioning vents. Don't crash it, Elon. Don't crash it.
Is that Elon?
Of course. With the smoke. There he goes. Demonstrating 1,000 horsepower. Well, that's how he's going to come up to the event. Is that to signify Bezos going to space on his own spaceship? Elon's taking one of the first drags on this thing. I wonder how he likes it compared to his original, what was it that he crashed? British sports car.
Nice.
Jacket with the pad on the back.
Very punk rock.
All right. Thanks for coming and thanks for tuning in. So, as Franz was saying, this is 9 years since we delivered the first Model S, the first car produced here in Fremont. So almost a decade. And I think we're really taken it to a whole new level with Plaid. Some of you may know that, I mean, basically our product plan is stolen from Spaceballs. So we've gone Plaid speed. So what we really wanted to achieve here is like, well, why make this really fast car that's crazy fast and everything. And I think there is something that's quite important to the future of sustainable energy, which is that we got to show that an electric car is the best car, hands down. You know, so it's got to be clear. It's like, man, this is sustainable energy cars. It can be the fastest cars, can be the safest cars, can be the most kick-ass cars in every way. And that's why we did the Plaid. It's just to show hands down, this is the way to go. So, yes. Pressing slide. There we go. All right. So, we've made huge improvements from the original car. Well, actually, who here, has anyone here, probably some have, bought the early Model S, like the, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your support. You can see the huge improvements we've made. So, and it started off with good performance, but now with Plaid, we've managed to break the 2-second barrier, if you will. No production car has ever done 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. And this is a 4-door car, seats 5 adults, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, you know, this thing's moving. I mean, this is like what I call like limit of physics engineering. It's not relative engineering. It's like, what does physics say we could do? Because physics is the law and everything else is a recommendation. So, in addition to a crazy performance, it's also got a longer range. Even with the tri-motor high performance, it's got almost a 400-mile range. And in the dual motor configuration, it's got a 412-mile range. So, 420, give or take. So, that joke will never end. So, and we've also improved the supercharging speed, so you can get 187 miles of range in 15 minutes. So,
Ooh, that's interesting.
yeah, so quickest production car, to be clear, of any kind ever made, like I said, first to ever break the 2-second barrier. Later tonight, you'll get a chance to drive around the track, and like this is really something you have to feel to believe, because it hits you right in the limbic system. It's like, damn, like, whoa, yeah. It is basically, what is the car that we can, how can we make a spaceship a car, you know? So, hello. So, let's see. Yep. And then in terms of additional stats, it's also the fastest production car to complete a quarter mile, so 9.23 seconds. It's got a 200-mile-an-hour top speed, over 1,000 horsepower, almost 400-mile range. Like I said, charges so fast, you know, it'll be probably done by the time you have a coffee, basically. And talking about some of the sort of details behind it. So we have an all-new battery pack. And then something we're really proud of is the new carbon-sleeved rotors for the motor. So this is the first time that there's, to the best of our knowledge, there's been a production electric motor that has a carbon overwrapped rotor. So this is a super hard thing to do because carbon and copper have have very different rates of thermal expansion. So in order to do a carbon overwrapped rotor, you've got to wind it at extremely high tension. It's a very hard thing to do. We actually had to design the machine that makes the rotor. So no such machine existed before. It also means we can have the electromagnetic field be super efficient and have a tight gap even at super high RPM. And it's single speed from 0 to 200 miles an hour. So it's just, the RPM is so crazy that just the centrifugal force wants to expand the rotor. So the carbon overwrap actually holds the the rotor, basically holds the rotor together. It's like madness. So, yeah. So let's see. In fact, we're going to show you the motor. In fact, you might have had a chance to see the drive unit.
That's what's on the
And we
table,
can
covered up.
Yeah.
Go
That's
closer.
what was covered up. Yeah. There we go.
I mean, this is really an amazing work of engineering. Yeah. There's just never been
Andy Monroe is drooling right now.
an electric motor like this. I mean, you can pick this motor up with your hands, and it can accelerate a 2-ton car to 60 miles an hour in 2 seconds. I mean, that kind of
Does it
power
seem
to
like
weight
it's
is insane.
lightweight?
Yeah. So it goes. It goes up to 20,000 RPM and maybe a little more. So
Maybe a little more. Interesting.
yeah, I was just saying, look close look at it.
Wonder if they're going to use that for the semi.
So let's see. Okay, let's switch back to the slides, I think.
That's the tightly wound carbon over copper.
Right.
So
Talking about.
we also were able to achieve the lowest drag coefficient of any car ever made.
Right.
So, yeah. So, really, I think Tesla engineering has outdone itself here. This is a car that looks good, but also gets an incredible drag coefficient. And this is the true drag coefficient of the car, including with wheels in motion. Sometimes you'll hear drag coefficients quoted, but that'll be without the wheels moving. And the wheels cause sort of air churn and incremental drag. And this is the actual drag coefficient of the car. So it's to have a good-looking sports car, have that lower drag coefficient is really tough. So we also have the latest and greatest in heat pump, which is basically the HVAC system for the car. It's 30% better cold weather range and requires 50% less energy for cabin heating in freezing conditions. Yeah, so you'll see very little degradation in cold weather.
Ooh, air
And the
conditioning.
radiator is twice as big for heat rejection. So you'll be able to actually do back-to-back 0 to 60s, go on the track, just haul ass, and as you'll see tonight, this car is just going to do over and over again, and it doesn't get winded. I think we got to take this back to maybe the Nürburgring. See what happens. And then, of course, when we first delivered the Model S, there were no superchargers anywhere in the world. So back in 2012, no superchargers anywhere. Now there are 25,000 superchargers all around the world. So, we opened 30 just in the last week. And we're just going to keep going so that you can basically travel anywhere you want with peace of mind, super easy, keep increasing the power of the superchargers. We're 250 kilowatts. Obviously, that we'll start going to 280, 300, 350. Yeah. So. And then it's also engineered for maximum safety as well. So, in fact, this is designed to be our aspiration for this car. It still has to be tested by the US government, but we think we can get the lowest probability of injury of any car ever tested. So,
Didn't they already do that once?
Lower.
in
Robert.
fact, these are the actual NHTSA probability of injuries numbers. All top 5 cars with the lowest probability of injuries ever tested, all 5 are Teslas. So I mean, with the Plaid Model S, what you have is a car that is faster than quicker than any sports car, and like faster than any Porsche, safer than any Volvo in the same car. That's insane. It's like yeah.
Pushing limits.
So, and then the design, we've obviously made a lot of refinements to the exterior, and then we've completely redone the interior. So I think once you drive the new Model S, it really feels like you're driving the future. And other cars are going to, especially like non-Tesla cars, are going to feel very last century. So, all new interior. As you can see, we changed the orientation of the main screen, so it's easier to watch movies and that kind of thing in landscape. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in other notes, we have ventilated front seats. So, yeah. Anyway, I think it's really, you drive around and it really feels like, okay, we're in 2021. Great. We have this yoke steering wheel, which is a little different, but I think once you try it, you'll think it's great. The visibility of the main screen is super clear, especially for autopilot. So you can see the entire panoramic view you can basically see the mind's eye of the car. Yeah, it's really cool. So. And then we've gotten rid of the stalks. So, like, I think generally all input is error. So we want, if you have to do something that the car could have done already, that should be taken care of. The software should just do it. So you can actually just literally walk up to the car, it senses that you're approaching, unlocks the car based on your phone. It just basically pairs with your phone, knows that you're coming to the car, opens the door, extends the handle, you sit down, and you just drive. You don't have to press the drive or anything like that. The car knows you want to drive. It figures like, yeah, good guess, So,
It's awesome.
And then it's using the
reverse?
autopilot system to know where the obstacles are. So obviously, if there's something in front of you, you want to go backwards, and if there's something in back of you, you want to go front, most likely. And then it will adapt to your to your needs. So if it sees that you're always doing this, you're changing to reverse or forward in particular situations, it'll try to remember that and geocode it to that location. So then you won't have to do it in the future. It will just keep minimizing the amount of input that you need to do until the car just reads your mind. So it's gonna be great. Yeah. So
I'll take one.
We've redesigned the interior. We've moved the interior so that the front IP is actually slimmer and thinner. So we were able to move the front seats forward, giving more room to the back seat, and we reclined the back seat more and reduced the interior trim. So basically, the current Model S, the back seat is not amazing, but the new one, it's actually a legit back seat, I'd say. It's like, it's good. So you can, I think it's quite a comfortable back seat, and you've got also a rear screen, and you can control everything from the back. Yeah. So it's got dual inductive chargers for your phones in the back and dual inductive in the front. And it's a 36-watt power supply, so you can actually charge like your, laptop or anything. Basically, it's a 36-watt USB-C. Yeah. It can also pair with multiple Bluetooth devices simultaneously. So multiple people could be controlling music, or somebody could be playing a video game. So you can do multiple wireless things simultaneously.
Why don't all cars have that?
And then,
Makes it a lot easier.
similar to the Model 3 and Y, instead of having air vents, we use intersecting columns of air. So, and we just vary the speed of the air. So you don't have to. There's no vents that you can see. And you can just touch the screen and move the screen around, and it'll just move the air wherever you want it. And the air is much more diffuse. It just feels like an invisible air conditioning system. It's great. So, and it's a tri-zone. So there's a zone for the rear, and a front and left front, right front zone. So. And then the 17-inch touchscreen is it feels like a movie theater. The sound is incredible. And
Wow, look at
yeah,
that.
so
UI.
you can really it's like a home theater experience. So if you're sitting somewhere waiting or for whatever reason or at a supercharger,
Everybody
you
can
can
watch
just
the
catch
same
up on
thing.
what your favorite Netflix show or iTunes or whatever the case may be, YouTube, and of course you can also play video games. So, and the same thing for the rear. So you can rear. It basically the system feeds all 3 screens, and so you can do things the front, rear. It's great. We have an all-new sound system designed by Tesla Audio, and we have acoustic glass throughout the car, so the car is very quiet when going down the highway, even at very high speeds, like you're doing 100 miles an hour, still quiet. And this is a Tesla-designed codec, so it will keep uploading improved versions of the sound system. It's completely software-defined, so we'll keep tweaking it and dynamically adjusting to whether you're using streaming or whether it's coming via Bluetooth from your phone or different streaming services. It'll actually, and if the data rate changes, it'll adapt that. So basically, it always sounds good. And that's just going to get better. So, yeah. And then we've got an all-new UI. So,
Wait for it, somebody said.
Going.
really want waypoints.
Oh, waypoints.
Yes, waypoints, definitely.
Yes, we really do want waypoints, buddy.
I just don't understand. He just doesn't drive that far.
I mean, it'll be necessary in the Cybertruck, 100%.
Okay, does everybody here want waypoints?
Yes.
All right, fine, we'll do waypoints.
Ah, yeah.
Damn it.
You will have your stinking waypoints.
All right. 2 weeks. All right, we'll do waypoints, fine. But obviously, it also interfaces with your calendar. So if you just basically if you just get in the car and you just sort of swipe down from Navigate, you don't have to enter anything. Just swipe down. The car will automatically figure out if you want to go to home, work, or what's on your calendar. So it'll default to calendar priority. And obviously, if you're at home and it's kind of a weekday or whatever, it assumes you're going to go to work. So you just swipe down, automatically navigates to work, and checks traffic and gives you an optimal route. So
This
it's
is
just like a
coming to
nice
all of
little
us.
easy thing. And you can actually set it to automatically generate the most probable route. So you just get in, and it's going to guess what route you want, and you don't have to press anything. Yeah. So anyway, the UI is like basically easy to move around, expand, contract, shift music to the left, to the right, and we're going to keep improving it. So it basically feels like a modern tablet or phone. So. And then it's not PS4, it's PS5. So there's never been a car that has state-of-the-art computing technology, state-of-the-art infotainment, where this is literally at the level of a PlayStation 5. So, yeah, I mean, if you think about the future where the car is often in autopilot or full self-driving mode, then entertainment is going to become increasingly important. So you're going to want to watch movies, play games, use the internet, just all the things you want to do if you're not driving. And this is actual PlayStation 5 level performance. So
Bitcoin mining, maybe?
we're going to try to do a gaming demo.
It's 100 times more expensive.
Yes. It can play Cyberpunk. So this is somebody playing the car right now. This is playing live. Yeah. So it's like pretty great, So have fun in the game. It's gonna be great. So. All right. So high frame rate will do 60 frames a second with state-of-the-art games. Yeah. All right, so we got incredible performance, interior of the future. I think engineering that's practically alien. Like I said, simultaneously the safest car in the world and the fastest. This is insane. So we also got look at some things like the power curve. So I think this really illustrates the difference. It maintains 1,000 horsepower all the way up to 200 miles an hour.
Wow.
Wow.
This car crushes.
God.
All
That
right.
is insane.
What do you think, Robert? You want one?
So,
I do.
I want one.
yes. All right, and deliveries begin now. So we're in production. We're going to deliver the first 25 cars now, and then basically we should be at several hundred cars per week soon, and 1,000 cars a week probably next quarter. So please enjoy. We put a lot of work into this. I'd like to thank the incredible work of the Tesla engineering and production teams. My hat is off to Tesla engineering, production, design, the whole group. They put their heart and soul into this. So hope you enjoy it. So let's deliver some cars. All right.
No jet ski.
No, it was all
Cybertruck.
motors and parts of motors and all that stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
That's an impressive vehicle.
Yeah.
When he did all the walkthrough, the software, all that stuff. I mean, money being no object, which obviously it is. Like I would have one of those for sure.
Yeah. Especially if you don't get the plaid, which I mean is nice, but I would rather have the longer range, the 420 miles.
Right.
Or should I say
but just like all of that technology, that quality of motor, all that stuff, that's going to be in the Cybertruck, right? Like,
yeah.
likely. Like that's the thing about
UI
this. Like
is going to be
right
in our cars.
Right. The flagship
really cool.
machine, right? Which this, I guess, continues to be their flagship machine, right? Besides, because the Roadster's kind of vaporware in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like they keep putting all of their eggs into this basket. And I don't know. I mean, as an event, it was but as a product, it delivers.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
No, I think this is really exciting. I'm a high five on it.
Elvis, you're very quiet over there. You're muted.
Muted? Or can you hear me?
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Not one thing that we thought would be. There was nothing new.
No
Zero
extras.
new,
None of it.
nothing. It was a very short presentation of what we had already told you, and yeah, it was impressive in terms of. Actually, this is a very impressive car. There was zero new, and I'm thinking that the press tomorrow is going to be like, okay, so why did you do an event for everything you've already told us about?
Yeah.
And make us wait
Everything.
an extra 45 minutes.
Yeah. And
Or an extra
again,
7 days for some people, right? Because this was
Yeah.
a week. This was a week delayed. For what reason?
Right.
Oh, but
I
we
don't think
did
anybody
raise the
ever
price
got-
$10,000.
Yeah.
What?
The $10,000 though, that's interesting because I think they did it because they can, but those folks that already
Right.
reserved, I'm guessing they're going to get their cars for the price that they reserved it for. But I mean, it's a very impressive car. Obviously, I was hoping for just something a little bit more, but
Well, I was
Acoustic
excited to
glass.
hear that. Huh?
Acoustic glass.
Yeah, acoustic glass. That's what and what up with the sledgehammer, man? Just a tease.
yes,
It was a
he's meme.
callback to their last event, right? It was a
Yes.
callback to the last
Right.
event.
Well, I was excited to hear that superchargers are going to climb to be yet faster. And I wonder if the 250 kilowatt chargers that are now pretty much 95% or more of all the new supercharger installs are going to be able to just be ramped up with a switch of the software to 280, 300, or 350 kilowatts, which puts them on par with the best of the CCS chargers.
Mhm. Yeah. It doesn't seem like he was ready to announce it. So, but yeah, that's a
So-
number
He
that
always
we
gets
were
ahead of
hearing.
himself.
I have
Right.
to go to sleep soon, and I'm going to make Tom the host so he can take over. No increase in range, no increase in supercharging speed, no X, no water vehicles. There was nothing here that was new. Why did we do
There
this
was a
event?
Model X there.
I am impressed.
There was a
But
Model
you
X
could
there
have
though.
sent out a video about how great this car is, and we already knew it. And I'm kind
Yeah.
of impressed, and I kind of want to buy it, but it was like, again,
Yeah.
who are you?
I don't know, man.
relations people?
I think
What
they did the
fuck is
event to
going
get
on?
to let the press test drive it, because you know you're going to get a lot of that, right? The press are going to test drive it. They're going to be very impressed by it, and we're going to get a lot more stories tomorrow, both good and bad, right? You know, there's no such thing as bad press, as they say. I mean, I don't know, like reading the stats before the show was one thing. Seeing sort of Elon talk about them, watch them kind of in action, I don't know. It's just impressive, the entire package, right? The engineering, the safety, which we didn't talk about ahead of it, right? Like it's not nothing when you spend time, resources, and engineering, brain power to make a fast car that's super extremely safe. Like that's meaningful.
Yeah.
That's meaningful stuff, right? Because that's like, if anybody's watching this has lost somebody in a car accident, right? Like that shit matters.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've been there, and that shit matters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that shit matters. And so they care about that. And it's not something new, right? It's something from the very, very beginning. He's been like safety, 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 safety. And that to me is just, it shows you, I mean, for all the shit we talk about Elon and all the crap we talk about Tesla in general, and, try to be relatively honest. I mean, that just shows you what kind of people are over there behind their drafting boards and sharpening their pencils and stuff every morning. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I think it helps that Elon had, a very, very extreme accident in his McLaren and could have killed himself. But now he's got a car that's even faster than that and probably handles damn near as well. And, there's probably a lot of personal pride in that as well.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of them they're going to sell. I wonder how long it's going to take to get one. If tonight you're inspired to get one, even for an extra 10 grand. And the most important question I have is, will there be lumbar support on the passenger side? As a
Most
joke.
definitely.
I'm sure there will be.
I thought you were going to ask what of the things that we've seen will start to trickle down to other models as well. So the Model 3,
Sure.
the Model Y. What might we see in the Cybertruck? Tom, you mentioned
software is the most obvious. If they can't,
Right.
they can't build an off-road vehicle with GPS if they don't put waypoints in it. Waypoints are super critical for people who are overlanding, because they like to know kind of where they've been. You like to like push a button. I use a GPS app when I'm driving in my, overlanding, because I'm like, oh, that's a cool place. That could be a potential campsite. That's a cool place that I could, do some boondocking for the day. There was a nice shade tree there. That's a good place for a photograph or whatever. That's something that's very common. It's a very small use, and I get that. But people, they want to use waypoints. Like they want to, be able to say like, this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm trying to get back to. It's not that big of a deal.
Do you have to have cell
waypoints be
signal
able
for
to-
that? Sorry.
Well, like my phone, no, and the iPads, as long as they have GPS chips, then that works.
Okay.
So, and obviously they'll have GPS. That's a given.
And I was just going to say that waypoints with being able to sort of set it up on your phone or outside of the car, so you set your trip up and be able to
Yep.
send that to your phone, and you
Yeah.
can send some stuff to your phone, but the whole waypoint setup.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like if I could sit and
Yeah.
do my trip planning and then send the car. But the nice thing about waypoints is like if there's some place that you go all the time, right? You can just push that button on your car. Obviously, you can do your favorites or whatever. Now you can still do that and it remembers it. And again, it's not $100,000 feature, right? I'm not.
You know
No
what?
one's.
Actually, can I just jump in and say
Please
the
go
one
ahead.
thing, all of the stuff that we talked about for the last 2 hours, 500-mile range, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Nothing. We got
None of
nothing.
it.
We got wave points.
Yeah,
Did that
and we don't even
deserve-
have
Yeah.
those.
Not yet.
We don't even
did
have
that
those.
deserve an entire event being late? I
No.
got to tell you right now, I'm a bit bitter. I'm a bit bitter. You could
Yeah.
have done all this with a 2-minute video, and I'm just saying.
Very easily. Very easily. I
Yeah,
think
But
but
we
would
want
they
you
to
bought
get
a
the
lot
press?
of press.
Yeah, would you get the press there? I'm betting you're gonna have an MKBHD there. He's gonna drive it and say how nice it is. All that stuff is extra free press, essentially, or low cost press. And the problem with Tesla fans is that we always keep adding on, like, oh well, they said 390, but it's gonna be more. And he kind of added in a little, like, well, maybe they can get a little more if it's not always in three motor mode, essentially. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But
420 comment, right? Is what that was.
well,
all
but
about.
what did he say? 411 or something? 417.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. So they have a number they know.
Yeah.
That it'll ultimately get, and you might be able to go long range mode when you're not tearing up the roads.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think
maybe-
to Mel's point. Sorry, Robert, but to Mel's point, right, or to all of our points, really, like there weren't very many people there, so maybe people are kind of getting a little jaded about the event, right? Like this was like a delivery event for Plaid, which was a huge, people have been talking about. I mean, I'm wearing a freaking Plaid shirt, like it's been around for a while, and now they're finally delivering. They're finally delivering the Plaid. They're finally delivering the Plaid vehicles, and so it's a delivery event, and it's not the Model 3 or the Model Y, which was like the car for the people. This is again a very niche or niche car type situation,
Right.
and
maybe that's why Mel was invited. Maybe they invited Mel as Talking Tesla so they would get our participation, which they're getting for free without having to buy any sliders or shardies for Mel.
right. Well, he's also purchased several Model S's and a couple of Model X's. So he's got to be pretty high up there on their list. I can't imagine there are I'm sure there are some people, but there are probably not very many people in the echelon of Tesla owners that Mel Herbert is, right? Like seriously, like we know, all of the Tesla Club LA folks, we know some very, very dedicated Tesla people who don't have anywhere near the amount of vehicle purchase under their arms that Mel does single-handedly. And on this show, what we've probably sold 80 cars, overall. So,
Right.
again, like it's a great car. I agree with Mel, didn't need to be an event. It's one of those things that like, does it become a kind of the emperor has no clothes type of a situation, or does he have a limited amount of these things, or no matter what he does, people are going to show up for his events? I would be pretty disappointed if I
Yeah.
flew from Belgium. Tell you that.
I that would be crazy if somebody did. But I also think that I wonder how much they were restricted by, and you guys would know what the restrictions are on big groups in California right now.
Yeah, it's like 5,000, or actually it's 10,000 outside. I'm not sure if that's California or CDC. I kept starting to get my recommendations mixed up because there's so many different ones. But I don't think they were limited from that.
No, for sure not. I don't think it was about that. I think it was just about, they probably didn't invite many people. Again, they may have had a whole bunch of people that they were going to invite, that they invited for last week that couldn't make it. And maybe they had some extra resis. Like it's hard to say why. It honestly doesn't much matter, because it's not about the people in the space, except for the ones that could get to drive a car, right? Like that's at the end of the day, if you're there and you get to hit that car around the test track and launch that thing and get it up to pretty good speed going into that turn, that's going to be pretty cool. Are they going to let people drive those cars? Like, I don't know that I have the capabilities of like getting in a Model S and plaiding it through that hairpin turn up there at the top. I wouldn't
Well,
want
you
to
know
do
how
that.
it goes, Tom. You wait in line for about 2 or 3 hours because they're giving rides with like a pro driver or maybe 3 or 4. And then they just get tired. And as you get to the front of the line, Tom, they say, sorry, no more rides.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I think that's what's happened to us. I don't know, 2, 3 times.
Yeah. But,
But-
it's all good. But again, it's a great car. I mean, I'm sure the people who own it are going to be very happy with it. And kudos to like Elon said, man, kudos to the engineers, kudos to the production team for getting this stuff done. And I mean, nothing, obviously our speculation brains are terrible because there was nothing. There was nothing, zero, no things whatsoever. No batteries, no extra item, no jet skis, none of that shit. So it was all
In our brains.
all a bunch of
Yes.
bullshit. It's just what
Yeah.
we would love to see.
Right.
And honestly, like, I mean, if the best thing that comes out of tonight is that he's finally going to get one of his engineers to make waypoints, okay, like cool.
That's a good +1.
Let's bring it. Yeah, that's the +1. We'll add waypoints. I want to see how long that takes, but I cannot wait for that software update because we are going to talk about it ad nauseum, I'm sure.
Well, when you get this updated UI in your car, it's going to be kind of cool.
Mhm.
So Joel, does this inspire you? Do you want to get the refreshed Model S, not plaid, but just the refreshed Model S with your kids in the back seat? They got their own
A
screen.
little more room. Yeah, a little more
more
room there,
room.
apparently. A little more
Yeah.
reclined. Maybe I can have them drive me instead of me
From the
driving
back
them.
seat. Yes.
Yeah.
He did say that you could operate the car from the back seat.
He does double down on that stuff, right? That's the FSD double down. He did it, right?
Right.
Like if the car's driving itself, you could play a video game. You're going to need to be entertained. Like he does, like when he says stuff like that, that's what people think, right? They think the level 5 sitting in the back seat, playing video games on your PS5 and not caring what the car is doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Except when the waypoints tell you to look out the right side of the window because there's the Grand Canyon. Why
So, Joel,
FSD?
yeah.
It's
I think
such
we're going to
it's a
rename
great
it.
car. It's such a great car. I mean, I love that car. Well, we'll see. Was it 72 right now? 78?
Cost wise, the non-plaid version,
Yeah.
no, it is more than
No, it's
that.
not 72 anymore.
Model S. It went up. It is speak amongst yourself. Sorry. Base model 72990. That's in white with
73.
with
I could
19-inch
get white for that.
wheels and black interior and no FSD capability.
Yeah. Well, maybe another show we can add up what would be nice to have in the car.
It's going to be 90, with taxes, basically what you're looking at.
If you can
So
keep
I
it
was-
under 80, though, maybe you could take advantage of any federal relief that might be coming in the
Right.
future.
So I was on the Tesla store website and I keep refreshing it to see if they're going to have
No details on the back.
if they're going to have a leather jacket that has sort of the plaid on the back. It's not
Did you
coming
see
up.
the
though.
liner? Did you see the liner? The liner
No.
had plaid in it as well. The liner was like a plaid tartan. Now that was a
Well, you know
custom
what?
job.
If you bought one of those cars, it's probably in your trunk tonight.
No way. That's a custom jacket. No way. I mean, I guess it's quite possible.
It'd be crazy cool.
I mean,
Or a
there's a lot of
hat,
things that
or
would be
some
good. Now
other
we're
cool shit.
re-speculating. We know
Yeah.
none of that's happening. We're just speculating on a bunch of ridiculous things because we didn't get what we wanted. And
All right. Well, I'm just kind of featuring out my car.
all right. Well, I think we should probably call this.
Oh, that's shit. If you want the white interior, You don't qualify for federal tax.
Oh, that's
Uh,
enough to no.
It goes to 81,990.
So you have to buy it without FSD also, and then buy
Sure.
the FSD after the fact, right? Like
That's
if you
true.
want to get the federal,
Damn.
we shouldn't be conniving about not paying federal taxes either, because we should.
Well, it's
we
not
should-
like we're the upper crust billionaires who pay 1% federal tax.
no, we're not those guys. That's for damn sure. All right, gentlemen.
today,
I think
$100.
I think I've had enough of this. Are we? Yeah, we're done. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it's been a great couple of hours,
Mhm.
and I'll shut off my recording, and Mel's already gone. So this was Talking Tesla 201.
Yep.
Live
Thank
stream
you.
event.
Thank you all for
Go ahead and
watching and listening.
Leave us a review on Apple. We'd love to have your review. And
5-star, we read them live. 5-star, we'll read them live.
You just say who you want it to read. All right. Thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for joining.
Bye-bye.
thank you. It's now 1:00 in the morning. Oh no, it's only 12:30 for you.
Yeah.
All right, let me. I don't know. And hopefully we're not. Are we still streaming? I have no idea if he left it streaming at his house either. Are we still on YouTube? Do you know?
I think
We
so,
were.
yeah.
Let me.
We are currently
He's making,
streaming
he
on
made you
YouTube.
host, Tom.
Okay, but if I end this, I don't necessarily. I mean, I end the live stream.
Go
I
ahead,
don't
end
think-
it, and let's see what happens.
There's
All
a
right.
little icon on the top left that I think you can drop down and stop it.
Oh, maybe that's right. Live on YouTube.
Watching how the sausage gets made.
So yeah.
Share content.